Okay. Ugh. Technology, guys. It'd be like that. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being here, especially to those of you who have waited while we figured out our technical issues. Very, very sorry to everybody who got like 10 notifications for the stream going live. I wasn't trying to tell you that. That wasn't me. That was YouTube. Get mad at them. Send a letter to Google. One amphitheater way, Mountain View. I don't know, something. Send them some mail. Let Eric Schmidt know that you don't like notifications for bad YouTube streams that don't stay live. It's not even their fault. It's probably ISP. But we're back, and we're going to talk about some good stuff today. Let me just go close the door. Okay, so I'm gonna give just a cool minute for folks to hop back in to the chat. If they are coming back, we might have chased them off. Like I said, with all the notifications, I can't even see chat right now. Good old reorganization period. Getting back tucked away here in Turkey. Where is my chat window? There we go. What'd I miss? You have to forgive me, we just started streaming. Is this the real stream? I wish. Just got back into SC today. Is there anything I should know? Don't take anything too seriously right now. That's like universal advice for this game. I'm sorry, I can't find my... There we go. All right. I don't even know what we were talking about when all this... Oh, I was talking about the motherboard and just the hardware issues we're having. I'll get more into that next stream. We need to look up what we need and then figure out how we're going to get it. And then we will make plans for what the streams are going to be going forward. For now, though, there probably won't be too much gameplay going on these streams. As you can see, my computer can barely handle this stream. I was hoping to do some jump ship tomorrow. Maybe we can give it a try and see if it works, but likely we'll just be doing some more chatting and hanging out until we can get the other computer running again. Anyways, plenty of chatting and hanging out to do because I was missing for a few days and quite a few interesting things were happening. First was this Inside Star Citizen. Oh boy. That has gotten a lot of attention. That one's going to be fun to talk about. But we're actually going to go back to hacking gameplay first and take a look at what's going on there. So, the latest monthly report has our first update in hacking development as a feature in, I would say, a long time. I don't think it's been, or rather, I think it's been like years since they've said anything about hacking. Hacking is kind of like salvage in that it keeps showing up and then it disappears and then it shows up and then it disappears and then it's delayed and then it shows up and you're like, why are you guys working on this? So take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a little assault. This may be just a little blip. This might not mean anything about the feature coming anytime soon or making any sort of very extreme progression. But they did say here in the core gameplay update that it's making some progression. If I can find it. There we go. Work on hacking continued. They say continued. I'm like, what do you mean? When was there work on hacking before? It involved highlighting suggested abilities for certain gameplay situations. Abilities are also now disabled when they're not applicable in a specific situation to better explain hacking gameplay. The hacking terminal now also supports color-coded terminal output for better clarity. We went over this in the monthly report, but I keep coming back to it because we just don't get to hear too much about hacking. And hacking is pretty closely associated with engineering, I think. It's something that's going to be available in a lot of places. But rather than having me explain all of it, I've got 4 videos here from over the years, how the concept of hacking has kind of changed and developed over time. So we're going to check that out. But first, it looks like I'm not getting... Oh no, I'm getting chat. Okay. Yeah, not having played since 2017 in Star Citizen is going to get you a whole different experience. How long has it been, Jonathan? And hello, Alejandro, Alex, good to see you both. Odoriox, hello. Glad you like the content. Let's check out what they were saying about the old hacking.
Props teams have recently begun their explorations developing the various chips and ports necessary to support the upcoming hacking gameplay currently scheduled for Alpha 3.15. Now, while there will be a variety of high...
You know, that's why they don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I mean, they kind of don't. Alpha 3.15, folks. But that's what I'm talking about. Hacking is one of those gameplay things that showed up and was like, okay, here it comes. And then it just disappeared out of existence. And I think that's because a lot of it needs to be built with engineering in mind. This kind of is the same that they did with spaceships, where they build this feature or they build something that they want to be in the game. And then they realize, holy crap, there's so much other stuff that needs to be tied into it that maybe we should just wait to release it until that stuff is ready to go. And so here we are. We maybe we'll see it in like some sort of practice this year, but 4 years later, we're still waiting. Either way, more info.
High and low-tech offerings, these were the conversation starters, if you will, to help us determine which direction visually we wanted to go in. They even created a handy animatic to see how the pieces all fit together, along with a sneak peek at the hacking visual interface that we're going to see a lot more of in ISC next quarter.
Yeah, we didn't see any of this in ISC. Like, it's so interesting to me what happened in those 3 months or 2 months between this being said and it not happening. That's how just like meandering the development in this game is. So it has changed since this. This was kind of like a Deus Ex style graphical interface, sort of Pac-Man. Basically, you were supposed to insert your fun guy throughout this sort of maze into an end zone where he would make fun sounds, and then computer would go hacky hack and you'd get to do things. But they're changing it up. So let's go to the next video, where this isn't really going to talk specifically about the gameplay of hacking, but it'll give you an insight into how much of a part of the game they want it to be, in the fact that they dedicated like half of this ship to hacking. Pretty crazy.
Fills a gap in our lineup for both more lawful and less lawful careers where you need to take charge of another person's ship. Traditional flow for ship-to-ship docking is the person who wants to dock to the other ship.
So that's kind of a big tell on hacking, is that when you are boarding a ship and hacking into it to board it, what you're doing is not just breaking the ship and forcing it open. You are spoofing the ship. You're triggering the same docking permission requests we already get, like when you're landing with the Merlin on the Constellation, or really whenever you just target a ship and press landing, you'll be able to deny or accept the docking request, which would then extend your docking port and allow for the ships to line up and mate, for lack of a better word. What this hacking would do would basically just allow you to send that docking request and then accept it for yourself. So you would hack into the ship and accept the docking request to force them to let you on board.
Requests it from the parent ship, and it's on the parent ship's pilot to accept or deny that, whereas the Legionnaire has onboard hacking abilities using the hacking minigame to...
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't think he was going to explain it all the way through. I thought he'd already finished.
Perhaps forcibly override that acceptance and allowing it to happen instead.
So that falls in line with the activities we're hearing about. That would, I would assume, be an activity in that hacking scenario.
For players that are on the lawful side, its prime use is bounty hunting. For those perhaps with more military focus, it is like Anvil's dedicated military boarding ship. And for those on the other side of the spectrum, piracy is its main role. So you are there able to attach and board other ships and take their crew, goods, or ship itself.
This is also going to be great when they use this as like an NPC backup drop ship when we're doing missions like that 890 jump boarding mission or something. Taking over a capital ship and the NPCs get back up and they come and board through one of these ships. Gameplay.
That's the Anvil Legionnaire. Looking forward to this one because it's a ship that appeals to both sides of the law. It brings with it a new side to an existing gameplay loop or existing gameplay loops. It expands upon them.
Thank you very
A lot of
much.
players have been waiting for a long time is that the ability to board other ships forcibly, because it sort of takes away that safety a lot of players have at the moment where I'm safe on my ship, no one's coming on here without destroying me. So people are really going to have to start thinking twice when these things hit the persistent universe.
Someday. This is when they were still building their office and Jared was doing ISCs from like the street. Hey, Abs, we are back. We figured it out. Kenny Wood, thank you so much for the sub over on Twitch. 6 months now, subbing with that Prime. Appreciate you. Good enough time to shout out. Anybody with Amazon Prime, you do get a Prime sub every month to throw out to one of your favorite streamers. Doesn't have to be us, but you should support somebody. It is there. You think they said at some point you'd be able to hack with all ships the Legionnaire would be easier? Maybe. I don't remember that. Did you really move to Turkey? We come here for the summer to see Mrs. Tomato's family. So we're back to where we were in a few months. They said during Con 42 they want to introduce boarding with engineering. Now things are getting interesting. Does boarding mean hacking? Well, like I said, I think all of these things are very closely related. Engineering, hacking. What's being missed a lot in the conversation surrounding engineering is there's so much focus on engineering as this impediment to enjoying your ship. Fuses might go down, components have glitches, your ship takes more types of damage. But it also frees up the game to actually treat ships like they're fully functional homes. I mean, not just ships, outposts too. We can already see the power systems driving windmills and radio stations at outposts. All those things have to rely on some underlying technology to connect their resources. They used to call it the pipe system back in like 2017, 2018. Hell, I think they were calling it this back in like 2013 when they first wrote this ship components spreadsheet or whatever, the design document. Yeah, it says March 2013. You scroll all the way down to it, and the pipe system is right here. Getting all the parts to work together, getting the resources to all fit in with each other and be able to be transported across the different parts of your ship. Heat pipe, info pipe, power pipe, avionics, radar, weapons, shields, HUD, cooler, battery. This is all the stuff we know as engineering. It's just changed a little bit over the last 12 years. And so I think hacking is just another one of the things that relies on that underlying system. Boarding, to some extent. I mean, boarding will be part of your permission system and stuff. Being a co-pilot, being an engineer, tons of different stuff. It's engineering as gameplay is a pretty crazy change to this game. I think boarding kind of requires hacking. Do it well. Seems like it. Unless you have a big gun. And we can start blowing holes through the sides of spaceships. All right, here is some more conversation surrounding hacking and what was planned for it. I don't actually remember what explicitly was said in this, so I'm just going to let it play out and comment as it goes. But this was actually before this. So they were developing this, like they were working on hacking. And then we got to this point where they're saying, yeah, we're developing a ship that's going to have it. This one back here, they're saying, yeah, we've got the we're building out the actual interface and this sort of stuff. So you get the idea that they were pretty set on doing something hacking related around 2022, 2023. God knows what happens. Abdi, thank you for the sub, mate. 41 months, dude. Jeez. Good to see you, dude. Thanks for dropping by the chat. Can we get a shout out from my man Abdi? Guys, if you haven't seen him, great art, great Star Citizen, great person, good chat. Great guy. Thanks for being here, friend. How are we doing with the move? We're doing okay. We're getting things together. Just enjoying being back here for a little bit of cool breeze. It was freaking hot back in California. Toes. Talking about the future in general or looking at 4.2? Talking about both. We'll get to 4.2 here in a bit. Toes. Hey, guys. You keep spawning toes in the chat, making me a little self-conscious. This guy keeps saying toes in my ears. Thanks for the prime sub, Babis. And Elfwin42. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. Saw you followed earlier today. Appreciate you dropping by. Did it before you asked. I'm not a nerd. You're a nerd. No, we're pretty much all nerds if we're here. All right. Hacking news and explanation 2021. This is the first person. This is like some of the core gameplay kind of stuff too. So these guys wouldn't know what they're talking about.
I'll talk to Steve Bender, and he'll do it if I ask. So y'all better behave in chat.
You just do it, or do it for the game.
Both. Joas, let's talk a bit about hacking.
Hacking.
We've seen hacking on the roadmap a couple of times. It's pushed for a couple of various reasons. We're not going to get into that. But about hacking as the
just a few times. Just a few
features about how it's going to work. Describe to us where we're going, what our intentions are with hacking, what kind of things we're looking to be able to hack to take control over. You know it better than I do, so talk to us about hacking.
All these people are still at CIG as far as I know. Thank you very much. I don't know specifically what they're doing, but Zach Priest is definitely there. Joas is there. JJ is obviously there. Jared's there. Oh yeah, Declan's there. He's actually in charge of the crafting system. So yeah, all these people are there. Is it really quiet? Like blowing my ears out. I've turned it up about as much as I'm comfortable. That's 200% volume.
Yes. So
Oof,
hacking
Jesus.
is a very exciting feature.
Oh, you know what? Here's why. This should help.
At least in my opinion. So currently how...
Okay, I'm so sorry. That probably just killed your earballs. I'm trying to balance the OBS volume for you.
The hacking that's implemented in the PU work right now is you basically go and you buy a chip, and then somewhere in the universe you find like this chip slot of like a hackable computer that you insert the chip into, and it's basically...
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll have to put like a volume warning on that for the recording. My bad.
A timer that ticks down, and it's got a chance to jam, so you need to restart it. And what we wanted to do with hacking, moving on from that, the current implementation, is that we wanted to introduce some more engaging gameplay when it comes to hacking. So we've explored a bunch of different concepts, and we've had a long period of experimentation and playing around with different ideas internally in the design team. So what we have right now for what hacking is going to be.
The freaking anticipation.
We're going to add this hacking device, which is going to be something that you can equip in your hand. And then we're going to still keep those chips, which basically works like the ammo for the hacking device. So you have the hacking device in your hand, and there's going to be these things in the world that you can hack. You go up to them, interact with them, and they connect wirelessly. And
NFC.
you're going to see this 3D visualization of a network. You're going to be able to move around at this network and also manipulate the network to open up new paths and new routes. And while you're inside here, like what is your objective? Like how do you complete the hack? Well, basically you find these weak points that you insert like a Trojan horse into, and then you connect those up together. Sounds pretty simple, but there's also gonna be these antivirus systems present.
Dude, I don't
when
know if
you were
that sounded
hacking.
simple.
So someone might have like, an antivirus that's gonna try to stop you basically and put like make your life of hacking harder. And that leads us into like difficulty scaling. So there's gonna be like varying ranges from like the easier hacks. They might be smaller and very quick to complete, very straightforward. And then on systems that have more antivirus, like a higher antivirus level present, is going to be quite a hard challenge for the players to finish the hacks. We also have a way to play this hacking game through a command prompt. So you're basically going to be able to, in addition to the normal control scheme, you're going to be able to type commands which control the hacking. And
Now,
there's going to be various.
I feel like he says you're going to be able to type commands there, but I'm guessing it's going to be just like a pre-made block of text, if anything, right? It's not like you're going to be able to go there and CSI Miami hack your way into the mainframe and freaking enhance all the pictures and stuff. They've got to, even since this video, they've taken liberties to simplify gameplay mechanics they talked about before. So I don't even think we're anywhere near what he's talking about here. I think they're going to go with just one of these options. And I don't think it will ever be like a custom input kind of thing. That would be pretty wild. I mean, we already just saw in the monthly report that they're mentioning these specific activities you can do. Now, here's a picture of the hacking tool he mentioned. You basically be able to put blades in here. And then this would be able to, like he said, just like establish a shortwave wireless connection to something that needs permissions to be accessed. And we've seen them talk about that kind of stuff when it came to things like distribution centers and building interiors and stuff like that. This might be one of those things we see in the ArcCorp underground locations when they bring those in. See, somebody else just anonymously gifted a sub out on Twitch. Thank you guys. Twitch with the support today. How would you defending party counteract on the hacker? No idea.
Bonuses that you get from using the command prompt over the default control scheme. So hopefully that's gonna scratch that hardcore hacking fantasy urge that
CSI Miami.
a lot of players I think are expecting from this. So why would I hack stuff? Like, what can I hack? Well, you're hacking in order to gain access to a system or part of a system that you previously didn't have access to. So what could that be? Like the most straightforward example is a door. There's a door, it's locked, you don't have security access, you hack it, bam, now it's open, and it opens up a new path, or maybe a room that contains valuable loot, or whatever the level designers come up with. Mainly it's going to be like, or secondly, it could be like computers or terminals which control other systems, like Like gravity could be a cool thing that it controls, or
Could be.
whatever the level designers can come up with.
It's basically you make the system and then it's whatever they apply it to.
Yeah,
So-
whatever the scenario that they're designing for. Loot containers as well could require you to hack them. Eventually, later down the line, you're gonna be able to hack someone's ship, and that leads us onto the PvP aspect of hacking, which basically, if someone's hacking your chip,
A chorus of moans go up somewhere off in the distance. Everything's PvP.
you're gonna get a notification that there's someone's trying to gain access to your system, and you can actually go in and take manual control over the antivirus system and try to, hopefully you'll do a better job than the antivirus AI would.
This is from 2021, this video.
Did
Yeah,
you even
ultimately
consider
we would-
just firing a beam at it? Did you even consider it?
No, this
No.
one's wireless.
Yeah, this one is wireless.
Yeah, we've got the
beam.
device that's wireless,
got
yeah.
it.
But yeah, well, what we've really wanted to try and lean into is selling the hacking fantasy, because that was when we first started off with this. That was the part that we really struggled with, and it was like we were coming up with ideas for the almost like this system to kind of demonstrate hacking, but it didn't feel like you were hacking. So now we've almost created this asymmetrical game mode where it's like you are hiding in this maze of a network, you're relaying the path, and you're trying to find your way around it, and you aren't aware of where everything is. You're trying to discover it and find all of these routes, and you're trying to create these networks. And obviously at the same time, on the other side, the antivirus doesn't know where you are, and they're constantly searching for you. So it's a very, like Joe said, it's a very like a kind of like the bottom end. It's a very quick little puzzle that you can kind of get through. Like if I was trying to get on your ship, Jared, and you lock the door, that might be, you bought a cheap ship, for example. I can get in really easy with this little puzzle. You might get a warning that I'm on the ship, but then if you were say like, you're on an Idris and I was trying to hack into your systems and like start interrupting your shields and stuff, that would be like the we're in a big network here. I'm really having to, sweat and work to figure out how to basically break in, and you're getting alerted that someone might be trying to get into your system, and then you're like, oh my god, I need to try and get in here and take manual control to get this guy out. So we really wanted to kind of sell a hacking fantasy in a visual format that people will quite easily understand, but also we wanted to cater for people who want to use something like the command prompt for the true like hacking feel, and there is definitely scope there to kind of utilize both and take advantage of either side. So I fully imagine like a power player of hacking would be like almost making like macros for the command prompt and hitting those and gaining the benefits from that, while he's like selecting things on the map at the same time using the visual interface. So I'm very, very well. We're all very, very excited to get it out there, and we've been playtesting it internally, and we're all really, really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that was a lot. A couple questions after you guys listened to that. Clearly, this is a pretty big part of the game. Like, I don't think they have. Maybe it's changed since this video, since back at this time. But there's two things that you notice here. One is that they are very determined in how this is going to work. And a lot of times when the developers talk about these systems, they use words like we're hearing here, where they say things like, oh, you could do this, or maybe it will be like this. But then they're also talking about how they've been testing it internally. So I'm thinking they're a little more dedicated to this actual format than sometimes they let on with other gameplay. But this is 4 years ago, and we've never seen anything about this ever. And I think I've seen everything they've released since then. And so I'm wondering, you guys think this is in Squadron? Do you think that there is hacking gameplay in Squadron 42? Because we haven't seen it in any Squadron demo. We haven't seen it in any of those like little things of Squadron gameplay they showed at 2023. We didn't see it in any of the parts of the Squadron 42 demo from last year. I thought maybe they would have it when he was trying to unlock that door, when there was a fire error and he had to like find the credentials. I was like, that's a perfect time for hacking, but they don't show it at all. So I'm really interested in knowing what happened with hacking, because it sounds like they made enough work here that they didn't restart on it or anything. They just put it away for a while. And if they go through with it like they're talking about here, it really does sound like it could be a big part of this game. Somebody asked what kind of role somebody would be doing this. I don't really see it as a role so much as just a tool. Kind of like a gun or a spaceship. You can sort of decide where this fits into your own line of work in the game. I do imagine, though, that most of the times you can hack into things that will be unlawful, just like in the real world. Like, really the only things you should be hacking are your own things. No. You can hack criminals' stuff, and nobody can complain about that, I think. I hope. Maybe. How long after SC and Squadron 42 launch do you think there will be an announcement for a movie? Depends on the type of movie. I think we could see an animated short film in the Star Citizen universe within the next 5 years. A full-on live-action movie, though, it's going to have to be a pretty solid success for that. God knows Chris wants it, though. I think they could do some really cool movies in the Star Citizen lore. I hope they wouldn't try to do it during the time of Star Citizen and Squadron. I hope that they would try and hit up the Unification Wars, or maybe the Fall of the Messers kind of time period. Like the more interesting political stories in Star Citizen. I mean, those make for the most interesting stories, I think. I've seen the Ring Commander movie. Very campy. Hope we don't get to fund the movie if there's one. Hope we don't get to. Like, you hope there's not the option. Who knows? Maybe they'll just find a studio. All right, I think he's all done talking about it here. Let's see though.
Definitely. It's basically like a combination of a puzzle game and a stealth game. Yeah, it's shaping up pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Right.
I wish Excitement made features. I'm kidding. But I do, because we'd have the whole game by now. I am also very excited about it. But it's rough to see them talk about a feature like this in 2021, and for whatever reason, whatever priorities shifted, to still not see it in the game and have it popping up randomly in monthly report episodes. The final update I had for us here was actually Torsten talking about hacking and how it would fit into engineering gameplay. This is only 2 years ago. Getting closer and closer to present day. But like I said, we haven't heard much recently. This is really just, again, reinforcing how much this is linked into systems like engineering and how I think they coexist, and why maybe hacking has been pretty much non-existent in terms of development, at least from our perspective, until now, when it seems like engineering's coming along.
So we want to tie it in with a hacking gameplay. So that's one fact, that we want to allow you to hook yourself into one of the items and then get even access to, like, imagine yourself, you being the aggressor on the ship, you plug yourself into the power plant. If you don't want to, well, there's the option you physically damage it, so you might punch it or use a hammer with a wrench on it, or use a beam to destroy it.
We love our beams.
Yeah, that's all about beams. And then, or you are the more digital assassin of the ship, where you just plug yourself in and go through the hacking gameplay. And then once you succeed, you get basically you get access to the states, what we talked about for the item. So you can switch around the states of the item and mess up your ship. But what you can also do is you can decide to ignore the item and progress further through the ship. So you basically move from node to node inside the ship. So once you successfully hack this power plant, you will see all the connected items that you can then select and start the next hacking procedure. And then you can make your way to what...
That's interesting. So that makes it sound kind of like you can hack separate components. not just like the central computer on the ship.
Whatever item you actually wanted to target, and then change its functionality. Turn it off, or vent a room if you want to target the life support, or like every functionality that you see on the engineering screen would be accessible through that hacking process.
I think chat's going out like hacking. Yes, hacking has been in the cards for Star Citizen, for the Persistent Universe, and for Squadron 42 for some time. Intrepid
There's confirmation. It is in Squadron 42.
viewers of the public roadmap might remember there was a hacking card on the public roadmap for quite a while. We actually had going back to our conversation just before the show starts, we actually had filmed a segment for ISC way back when, detailing how hacking was going to work and blah, 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 and it was filmed and it was edited, and then somebody had a great idea about how to change it. Yeah. And it fundamentally changed. It's like, no, we're going to go this way, and everything in that segment became wrong. So it's one of the few segments we've ever produced that is.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Detailing how film. Going back to our conversation just before the show starts, we actually had filmed a segment for ISC way back when, detailing how hacking was going to work, and everything in that segment became wrong. So it's one of the few segments we've ever produced that never got aired and whatnot. It happens a while. You know, the only constant in game development is change. It affects our video production as well.
So I wonder if that's an ISC that would have coordinated with this SCL. That seems kind of ripe for the timing that they would have done an ISC. Like they were planning on doing maybe like a February or March Inside Star Citizen to cover this, and it got changed up. So it might be the stuff that we're listening to has actually changed since then. We don't really have, I think, another update besides this one.
When we already know the time and the place where we're going to reintroduce folks to hacking gameplay and how it's going to manifest and stuff. So stay tuned. No other updates about that just yet.
We've been staying tuned. 2 years now. Tuning in 2 years. I hope that we see some kind of a more significant update to hacking sometime soon. It's pretty good to see it on the monthly report. This is usually a sign that something is moving along, but we won't know until we hear more. So we'll check back on the next monthly report, see if they're mentioning hacking, and if so, we can all scream in joy and wiggle and be in glee and all that jazz. Thanks for checking it out. Do we have data mining yet? Like transporting of data? We're actually going to talk about that here in a cool minute. I got some exploration gameplay stuff to talk about. Oh man. So what do you guys think? Hacking gameplay. Does that interest you at all? Or is that just kind of something in the background? I always wonder if they went and made these amazing game systems, but then nobody used them, but they just cut it. You digging it, Black Jaguar? Wow. Hey, so this is actually... Guys, shout out to Monster Tech, who I do have a chair from, and I believe we have a code for it. Maybe not. I can never remember that for sure. This is Tomato would know. I'm here sitting in this chair in Turkey, and my back's already hurting. And in like 7 months of sitting in that Monster Tech chair, sorry for the noise, my back did not hurt. So I thought maybe it was just like my own back strength or something that had changed, but genuinely that chair is just better to sit in than this one. It's one of them gaming chairs, you know? Will the hacking go with the data running? Probably. There is this idea that the Mercury Star Runner and the Herald can both actually steal data. Hacking sounds like a keycard thing where you wait for the card to be processed and then you have to click several times throughout the process. From what they just explained, that's what you heard, or did you just hop in? I feel like we want cyberpunk hacking, but what we're going to get is just door opening. Hope I'm wrong though. Maybe, I don't know. It sounds like they're describing more than that, guys. From what Torsten was just saying. Hard to be hyped for something we haven't seen. See, now that I get. We're great at doing that. Hacking's just a dream for now. Really hope it's not just a puzzle at the end. You just hopped in like 5 minutes ago. Oh, okay. You probably weren't hearing. They described it. What they want it to be. Probably have to play Snake. You were relating to what Torsten said? Oh, with the components. Maybe, if they had changed it themselves from what they were saying earlier, maybe it was simplified like that. You think we'll respawn in T3 beds forever? Yeah, but they'll probably be much worse at handling resources. What do you doubt is that what's being described will come in that full. You fear it will sound cool but end up as a door opening. Honestly, fair. We'll see what they actually get in. All right. You guys ready for this this segment? I'm probably going to make some people mad with this one. Let's look at a little bit of a recent kerfuffle in the Star Citizen community. We're all about kerfuffles. I want to start this out by saying this isn't like I feel like the current fervor surrounding this whole Inside Star Citizen thing with exploration gameplay being mentioned it's pulling on the heartstrings. It's getting people who are really passionate about exploration. I subscribe to that. Love exploration. It's pretty cool. I think it attracts a lot of people to space games, which gives it a huge expectation. But I think it's also bringing out people who just kind of want to be mad and are just finding something to be mad at. Like, I am definitely the kind of person who will bring up stuff if it's frustrating me. I was told so many times after the Flight Blades video that I made that I always am negative. So I guess I get it. I get the negativity. But I feel like people are genuinely kind of misleading folks about exploration gameplay and sort of what it's supposed to be, and taking like one small little segment of somebody's sentence and deriving an entirety of the plans for a video game from that. So I figured we'd take a look at this, add some context to why people are talking about exploration, and then go through the various videos, both old and extremely new, that talk about what exploration gameplay is supposed to be and why it's not actually just flying to outposts and shooting people. Because that's what I see. I mean, this has become a big topic, especially on Reddit. I'm sure on Spectrum. I've seen it on Discord, Twitter, Blue Sky, all the places. You'll just kind of find threads talking about how they mentioned this exploration, and people have been unhappy because it makes people have been reacting to it and saying, well, he said this is exploration gameplay, and maybe you don't get the chance to watch the actual video, but when you don't hear that he didn't say that, you think, oh, well, they are really putting together the game this year. A lot of people jumped into Star Citizen. I don't even think they know how unfinished this game is. I think a lot of people are still operating under the idea that this game is basically finished and they're just kind of buttoning up some things and getting the last bits in. And I'm like we're so far away from this working how it's supposed to. But you can I'm not going to take you through all these. Like, we don't need to focus on what people are saying about it that they dislike. Just know that there's a lot of confusion being thrown around this. So first, let's start off by seeing what actually caused all this uproar. And we'll pick apart the sentence itself, and then we'll go from there.
Stormbreaker is all about taking the next step in exploration gameplay. Making exploration work in Star Citizen actually requires you to go out and build locations that players want to visit. That's what we're doing now.
We were trying.
Okay. So it's like a two-part sentence, right? It's almost like it's two sentences. First, he says, Stormbreaker is all about taking the next step in exploration gameplay. Can you imagine if somebody came out and they were like, yeah, we added scanning mineable asteroids, and this is the next step in exploration gameplay, and people were just like, oh my god, all of exploration is going to be mining asteroids. Oh. I think already just from that you can kind of tell he's not saying this is the entirety of exploration gameplay. But I also think he's not, like, it was a really bad choice of words. I don't know why he's using a buzzword like exploration there. But he's basically just saying we're creating more locations to find, right? And he clarifies that. Doesn't even leave it left alone. He clarifies that in the very next sentence.
Play. Making exploration work in Star Citizen actually requires you to go out and build locations that players want to visit. That's what we're doing now.
We were trying.
So, like, I don't know. I think this was really easy to understand, and I think, again, it's easy for somebody who is excited about exploration to hear that and then see other people react and jump in with that reaction and be like, oh man, he's right. They just said this is exploration. Where are we going to go from here? But in reality, this is just another, like, they're saying something off the cuff that's a little marketing, a little hype, a little bit fun words with buzzwords, and it's being taken much further than it probably needs to be. I would say it's more likely if they were going to say something extreme like how exploration is supposed to play out, that would come out on Star Citizen Live, not an Inside Star Citizen. So to push that point forward, thank you for the bits, whoever just sent that out. To push that point forward, we're going to go and look at a video from last year, CitizenCon last year, right? So this is also where I'm coming at this from. Even if he said this in Inside Star Citizen right now, people are choosing to ignore all of the other conversations surrounding exploration. And yes, I know, we've even talked about it. They sort of excuse that old videos might not ring true or might not actually cover everything. But this isn't an old video. This is like 6 months ago. So if you don't believe this, then there's no point in believing the ISC. I'll let Ian here talk about Starkitect, which focuses on creating the locations that we're supposed to find, as he just mentioned in Stormbreaker they're doing, to further emphasize sort of the whole point of all this hubbub.
Going forward, this doesn't really scale with how we want to go forward with the game. Server meshing is about to arrive, and we're going to have a way higher player count. So those 73 bunkers across Stanton just won't cut it. But in general, it's also pretty barren. There's not much for you to explore and find stuff out there. So there's no exploration gameplay. You haven't really put your character to use for the way that you should. So this means we need to go bigger, which means we need to change our workflow. And with any workflow, means we need to first establish a new benchmark.
Okay. So if you were watching CitizenCon last year, you remember this. They're creating a system that creates hundreds, if not thousands, of points of interest. Will it work? I don't know. But why would they do this if all of exploration was just going to be going to these locations that are saved for you to go to and run through some like planned event? It's not the kind of stuff that they're talking about during this presentation or that they've talked about in the past. And they give a pretty good here. See if I could find where he talks about this. And like, here's the whole point of this, I feel, is that they want there to be, you can call this a raid, you can call it a sandbox activity. I don't really think it matters that much. The point of this is that they're trying to make things that players run through when they find them, and they're trying to find more ways for them to find them. They said during this same CitizenCon that they were trying to take us away from the Moby Glass. This is them just trying to do that, test this out, make, validate it. But I do think that things like the Hathor facilities, things like the ADP facilities out in Pyro, we're going to see space stations that handle this sort of role. We're going to see other underground facilities that handle this role, bunkers. All those things will likely have a little story attached to them, a little narrative design attached to them that you could run through or you can completely ignore. And I think that's part of why they're saying this is a step towards exploration, because we're building the places that you will find when you explore, and then you can get sucked into those places to do things. I don't think all of these places are going to be like that, though. And we're getting that from this system.
Even our older locations, such as the bunkers that you find on Stanton.
Oops. Oh, no. I just restarted the whole thing. Hold on. You can get back there. We can do it.
So, now that we've made our toolkit and we've defined all this new stuff, let's architect and see what it gives us. As you can see, we're now able to make full-size locations, and they will look completely different based on where you'd find them. The layouts are controlled by the rules, and it will reflect its place in the verse. We've got farms, mining outposts, but even our older locations, such as the bunkers that you find on Stanton.
Thank you. I like the haircut. Courtesy of Mrs. Tomato. Yeah, Discovery works.
So, let's look at an example and kind of use the tool to really, make a location. We can define the rules, as I've mentioned a couple times by now. So for our mining outpost, it wants to be near a resource. We can specify what this resource needs to be. But we can also give suggestions where sometimes you'd find it here and sometimes you wouldn't. If the location has refineries, it might want to be near water to refine the resources. Then secondly, we can define what buildings should be there. So obviously we need mining buildings, houses for people to live as well, and even power buildings that we can leverage with the resource network. Starchitect will intelligently figure out where to place these and what needs to be at the location. Next up, farms. Its rules, well, temperature. Not every plant can live in every temperature, but the same with soil type. Only certain plants can be in certain grounds. And then we can query the seed map to determine what plants you would find there. What are the harvestables?
This is like, what are the harvestables, he's saying, right? We can plant the seed map. Yeah, all this stuff about changing the spawns. And then you go back and you can look in this very monthly report. And trust me, this is not the only monthly report with signs of this kind of stuff, where they're saying we're working on improving harvestables and loot systems to address various performance issues and, more importantly, give the designers more control over how harvestables and loot are spawned. Wow, that's extremely close to making sure that things spawn in certain places so people can find them. You know what else is like that? Animal hunting. Crazy that we started getting animal hunting contracts that, kind of tell you to go look for stuff out in the verse. These are all parts of exploration gameplay that aren't even, they're not secrets. They're not hiding. We talk about this a lot. So it's not hard to see that there's more to exploration than just going up and doing some pre-made so-called sandbox activity, raid, whatever you want to call it. Seed maps, guys. Like, you got to find specific plants in certain places because the things you want to craft to get ahead in the economy require those plants, and nobody else has them. Copions in the Arctic area, in the tundra area, that's literally being tasked with finding something. And it's just the same kind of thing with this outpost. They're just adding more and more things in. I don't think people are going to call it exploration gameplay until there's like a contract that tells you to find something and then you get paid. But I guess that's like, we already do that with the Copions. I think there is something significant for every person that defines what exploration gameplay is. And it's, all of us might have a different opinion of that, but they're clearly not just going to, like, people aren't going to acknowledge this stuff until CIG passes some threshold here. Whether that's storing and sharing the locations, getting paid for getting those locations or what. There's some line that they've got to cross that'll get people more excited. And at some point... Okay, sir. At some point, I think we're going to get there. And I think that's not too far away. Board Gamer, thank you for the freaking raid, man. Welcome in. Good to see you and the crew. We get a shout out for this guy. If you don't know who Board Gamer is, you even Star Citizen? Welcome in everybody who came in with the man. We are doing a little deep dive into what's exploration gameplay in Star Citizen, a super civil and non-topical thing to go over right now. Your line is new jump points. Interesting. Generating odd mineable, simple exploration. Yeah. Problem with exploration is since we're helping build the game, we can never explore since we already see everything. Yeah, but they can, randomize spawns and stuff. In fact, this next section we're going to talk about is talking about basically how they can create derelict ships wherever they want. If there was a big battle somewhere, the Star Sim system could place derelict ships near that old battle. How would you find that? Through exploration. Fleet battles. Literally, if there's like a dynamic event in the system and it goes, yada, yada, it's done. Aaron Roberts was just saying a few weeks ago that they want that to actually affect the system. So who's to say that if a battle happens somewhere, they can't have Star Sim calculate a battle happened here, let's place a couple of ships that act as derelicts for that battle. And then that makes it so that it's a new location of exploration that nobody has ever seen before. You're the first person to find it. You exploit the resources. You get to get the keep. And you found it because you know where to look or you know what's going on in the star system. That's exploration. And they don't have to work that hard to make that happen. I just don't think it's been that important. Like scanning and quantum boost are both a really big part of making that happen. But here's a little bit about derelict ships he was talking about.
Currently. Rules, well, they'd be close to anti-air because I would be shot down. But even in harsh flight conditions, such as mountains or low visibility, you'd probably most commonly find them. Targets, well, crash ship parts, of course. Sometimes you'd find the full remains of a javelin, and the other time you might just find the nose of a starfare laying around. So, let's talk about coherency. Sure, we can scatter all these locations everywhere on the planet, and you'll find them in places they make one thing. I expect to find something similar, or something else. Right? We want to tell tighter stories, such as the people's lives, but also logical exploration. If I find one thing, I expect to find something similar, or something else nearby. We also need more data control. What defines one mining outpost being different from the other ones, aside from the harvestables? And also give the narrative developments. Make sure people build near rivers, on mountains. They build near town halls. They build near distribution centers. So to hit that bit of our benchmark, we make sure that locations are near each other and group them together. The effect it gives is a fully developed landscape with vistas and points of interest all over. And we group them together in what we like to call a cluster, like this one, that has 13 locations. Let's talk about clusters.
All right, this is a little less exploration focused, but just to give you an idea of what they have planned for planets, again, this is their plan.
Just like our locations, we can put clusters near other clusters, and we group them together ranging between 10 to 15 locations each. And we group this into what we call a sector. Like this one, that has about 120 locations. However, on a planetary scale, we can define how many sectors we should have, with each their own data and persona. And every single one of these locations is now ready for the mission system to hook up and give you gameplay, and for you to find a bunch of places on your own. And just on this side of the planet, can you guess the number? We've got about 3,042 locations.
Now, super impressive. Everybody clapped and stood up. Somebody accidentally dropped their baby. They were so excited. But like, the idea of this excites me. Looking at it doesn't really get me all that excited because I don't know how close they can get to doing something like this, or if they do, how much it will actually tie into the mission system. But the intent is there. And my whole point of this is like, if you're going to look at that inside Star Citizen and take the one half of the sentence where the guy says something that like kind of hints at what might lead to exploration gameplay in the future, then you can't look at this and decide that they're not going to make a bunch of locations for us to find on our own when they're literally saying a bunch of locations to find on your own.
And just on this side of the...
I think he says it in here somewhere.
And every single one of these locations is now ready for the mission system to hook up and give you gameplay, and for you to find a bunch of places on your own.
Like, he says it, right? So are we going to just ignore that and only listen to the ISC? I don't know. It's your choice. But I'm just trying to bring you the information. Now, that's not all. They've talked about exploration. No, my friends, there's more. Finding resources. This was also laid out just last year at CitizenCon, where Torsten, the same person who was talking about the hacking we looked at earlier today, told us about how exploration will factor into finding resources. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Questions we have to meaningfully involve them in the crafting process. Especially for the more advanced blueprints, you can expect that it will require materials from multiple sources. And, as already mentioned by Jacob, pay attention to the quality. If you want to have the perfect item, you also need the best quality. Here, the best...
I'm just going to go back so Jacob can actually explain that to us, because this is really key. This is how they're planning on making crafting really factor into exploration. Having different qualities of materials obviously means we're going to have a lot of variation in materials, which means a lot of variation in crafting, which means a lot of value to the people who try harder. So if you can find the best stuff, there is a chance that this will drive some of the most intense exploration. And yeah, this is like very, very similar to Star Wars Galaxies and what a lot of people have been wanting to see from a sci-fi MMO for a while.
Those tiers of quality that Jacob mentioned are unlocked through blueprint research. Research requires a research...
Sorry, here we go, here's quality.
From raw resources through the refining process to influence what that batch of materials is best used for in crafting. High quality is more desirable overall, but is more rare, and there are still important uses for low-quality materials. More on that later. All raw materials you find in the verse will have a quality rating that's generated based on some rules, the same kind of rules you heard about from the Planet Tech team yesterday. You'll find the same material in many places, but with varying qualities, so you might want to explore to find the best. Some materials that...
He said the explore word, isn't that crazy? That must not mean what he meant, though. Exploration is just these sandbox activities, right? I'm sorry.
That are already rare will be even more valuable if you can find them with high quality.
Okay.
But what's quality for?
Oh, I'll let him talk about this.
Alongside quality, we're introducing a new item stat system to the game. This will allow relevant properties of craftable items to be affected by the quality of materials used to craft them. For resources, just a single quality rating is sufficient to provide variation, but craftable items have such diverse purposes that we need a more detailed system to provide both progression and customization options. We aim to have meaningful item stats for all craftable items, but some examples would be the damage and fire rate of a gun, the wear resistance of a ship component, or even the satiation provided by eating a hot dog.
Bro, what is that on the hot dog? That really makes me not want to eat a hot dog. So there is how exploration is supposed to factor into crafting and finding resources, which I think is... I know that disappoints people, the idea of just finding resources as exploration, but I think that's probably the bread and potatoes of exploration. Like, you got to find what other people want. Yeah, sometimes people will want alternative entrances to other star systems. Most of the time, though, people just want to find good resources, good places, good shipwrecks for some exploration, very valuable artifacts, maybe like crashed derelict alien ships, an outpost here and there. But yeah, I think folks maybe want more from exploration than might make sense. And that might also be where some of the disappointment comes from. But I still think at the end of the day, if you just watch all of the stuff they've talked about in the past about this, it's as reliable information as what ISC was last week. Here's another bit that I think really leads into the importance of exploration and finding the right places. This is them talking about basically just finding a place to put down your own base.
Here's a concept of construction ER. From here, we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For an example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity?
So there is another reference to that quality again, basically saying there will be ground resource deposits around planets that will have a specific resource and specific quality that people gonna be paying money. Like, this is so easy to see. You can even go forward. I'm gonna spoil this a little bit for you, but we'll get back to this slide a little bit later. And look at the slide for the guilds and see that there are literally location mapping missions under the Explorer rank for the Science Guild. It was laid out at CitizenCon that this is going to be the kind of thing you do as an explorer. You go around, you find the best places with the best resources on planets, you turn in the data, and that's where bases and stuff can be set down.
Let's say we found a good place to start building our base. Then next up, we need to find a good place for our first structure.
And they've also said that resources are going to not despawn, but they won't respawn in the exact same location. So you're going to have to find more resources at some point. It's a loop. And that, again, maybe that's not exactly what you want from exploration, but it is something that they're clearly building into how the game works to make it happen. Here's another quick look at how they want to include some of the other parts of the game in this so-called exploration loop of gameplay. This is from Inside Star Citizen in 2022, mainly focused on salvaging. Okay, yeah, you can restart.
The salvage feature is really trying to cater...
Bread and potatoes. Yeah, I totally meant meat and potatoes, didn't I? Just shoving your french fries inside of a loaf of sourdough.
To people who want the diversity and exploration type gameplay.
Whoa! What did he say?
To people who want the diversity and exploration type gameplay.
No. I was told Stormbreaker is the only way people are getting exploration gameplay. I think he's wrong here.
You might find debris fields of a long lost battle, or on your discovery tour you find a destroyed ship.
I'm excited about players playing this and salvaging wrecks of ships into PU.
Can't possibly imagine how that might lead to exploration gameplay, though. So this isn't really much to look at. It kind of explains the point right there. It's just all of these different things, from minerals to derelicts to locations to, yes, that's right, guys, even random conflicts going on at places. These are all just things to find when you're out looking around. Doesn't mean that exploration is linked to that one thing. And sorry if it's been a little facetious so far, but I've just been kind of flabbergasted. I don't really use the words fake outrage very often. I don't think I've ever used that word, but this genuinely feels a little bit fake because, again, I think there are plenty of people who are actually worried about exploration gameplay, but I think there is like a group of people who are just like straight choosing not to remember all of these other things they've said about exploration gameplay, even in just the last 6 months. I'm going to play this one actually before this next one. This one's about the Odyssey, which again will go into how you're not just using an Odyssey to go to an ADP facility. You're going to do other things, but we'll get to that. I first wanted to look at, this is Chris Roberts and Rich Tyrer, the people in charge of this whole program. Maybe you think the devs are going to make exploration bad, but generally from what I hear, Chris is kind of a micromanager. And if you want something to go a certain way in the game, it's going to go a certain way in the game, whether that's good or bad. So when you hear him talk about quantum boosting and how it fits into exploration gameplay again, I think we can somewhat rest assured, again, if we're going to take what the ISC said as true, rest assured that at least in the last couple Citizen Cons, this stuff might be leading somewhere, especially since quantum boosting has almost made it into the game at this point, almost soon, whatever it might be.
You know, most of it is point to point. It's empty for you, right? It's like you spend your time around the space stations or, some asteroids here around the planet, but we want to open it up a bit more and have that idea of, I can detect something, I want to investigate it. So the whole sort of exploration,
you said
investigative gameplay that can happen in space now because of these different modes of travel and the scanning is going to be a huge deal.
So I know we have a clip for this.
Oh, okay, wait. Nope, we got to go back because he was talking more deeply about this for a while.
Quantum juice, if you want to think of it that way. Mid-level, and then we need.
Like this is when they talk about quantum boosting, folks. There are a couple of reasons why I think quantum boosting came in, but one of the biggest ones was exploration. They needed a way for us to get around quickly in these large-scale environments without having to slow down quantum travel. So they brought in quantum boost, and he kind of describes why that is here.
Like the wave goes out, and yeah, you'll pick up things 10.
Sorry.
In both the PU and it's something that we really wanted to have in Squadron, and we really should be in the PU, which is, what's that over there that's 10,000 kilometers away? The equivalent of being on a planet and going, there's a mountain.
Okay, wait, sorry guys. This is because my current screen it's because we're on the one PC stream right now. Wait for it. There we go. Sorry about that.
The PU and it's something that we really wanted to have in Squadron, and we really should be in the PU, which is, what's that over there that's 10,000 kilometers away? The equivalent of being on a planet and going, there's a mountain over there, I can see it, I don't know what's on it, but I'm going to drive over there, I'll walk over to that mountain. And so the idea with sort of the scanning is like the wave goes out, and yeah, you'll pick up things 10, 20, 30,000 kilometers away. So you definitely won't be able to understand what's there, but you'll say, there's something
There's a point
there.
of interest.
There's a point of interest. And so you'll be able to map things, and then we need to get there. But the quantum travel, spooling up, spooling down, and so this is the whole quantum. The idea of quantum boost is you're sort of mid-level traversal speed, where it allows you, it's probably about 1/10 the speed of the full quantum travel, sort of, not using all the quantum juice, if you want to think of it that way, but it allows you to sort of get there pretty quickly, and also appreciate the environment you're going through, and get over there. Oh, I go up to the mountain. Okay, no, I can see what's. Oh, there's trees here. Oh, that's really cool, and that opens up a whole bunch of gameplay. I mean, definitely helps out in Squadron, but in the PU it's massive because in the PU, when this rolls into the PU,
the freaking another Frenchie with the dancing emote that whenever Chris Roberts talks and it's cuts his hands. Oh, dude, that's hilarious. I'm sorry. I just interrupted this. That
Squadron, but in the PU it's massive because in the PU, when this rolls into the PU, now you can have exploration gameplay in space. So, for instance, you could
Which we've never had.
Yeah, we've never had. So, you could be in a big nebula gas cloud and you scan and I get a contact 20k away. Okay, I'm going to boost over to see whether. I come up. Oh, look, it's a derelict, or there's a abandoned mining station. There's group of rocks over here, or I go over here, and we can even in the PU be in a case where you can almost procedurally generate some points of interest when you start to scan that you can go and visit. So,
see, so like it's not like he's specifically saying that exploration is going to be different. You can say all you want that Chris Roberts might not get his ideas into the game, but clearly his idea around exploration is based more around the idea of finding valuables out there somewhere and not surrounded by combat all the time. And I think that's one of the big things people were worried about, is that it's just always going to be combat focused. Right now, people are very convinced that Star Citizen's a combat game for reasons. Like they market combat a ton. So much. Alan, thank you for the super chat. Game isn't exactly how I want today. Me win. The game is not exactly how I want today thing is, that's rough. And I don't think that'll ever go away. They just gotta keep making it and get to the point where it is how people want it. We'll be able to quantum boost inside the atmosphere? I believe so. I do believe we'll quantum boost in the atmosphere. I imagine that will use your fuel a lot faster. But it actually puts you in it's like an Alcubierre drive, and it puts you in like a bubble of non-matter or whatever. So maybe atmosphere doesn't matter. A Tuesday stream. Shifty, we missed yesterday, and I had a lot to talk about today.
I think the whole idea of sort of these three sort of levels of traversal. One is your sort of regular non-quantum one, where you're just using your regular thrusters, which is much more sort of limited and works for combat and stuff like that. Then there's the quantum boost, which is sort of to fast run over to a place, and then there's the quantum travel, which is the really long, I'm going to go to this planet that's 500,000 kilometers away, and I'm going to be in quantum for 5 minutes to get there. And I think that's going to open up a huge amount in the PU. I mean, it makes a big difference to the gameplay. I mean, it makes the exploring in Squadron in space feel much bigger.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing we were trying to follow. And I think it's a problem in the PU right now, is when you're in space, it's sort of like,
yeah, dude, that's the kind of thing that they could show from Squadron. Just a little bit of this style of exploration they're talking about. I think that would put kind of a lot of worries to rest.
Most of it is
point to point.
It's empty for you, right? It's like
So we already heard this part, but they play a video here of it.
See it one more time here.
So just to call out, that's going to be the old HUD.
Yeah, that is the old HUD. That's too busy.
That's the next old HUD.
Yeah.
Earlier we were showing the old HUD.
So we've done a scan here. That's also the old point of interest, because the point of interest will be just points.
Yeah.
But basically, we've done a scan. We've got some points of interest that are, multiple 10Ks away.
And you can see the distance there. It says 13,000 kilometers on the right-hand side. So this is obviously just placeholder UI for the quantum boost. But again, you can just boost over there. And it obviously has this interactive gameplay, which obviously went into.
And this, by the way, that's all programmer work in progress from Yogi. on the quantum boost mechanism, because you're just going to have to stay in the zone to keep and boost, otherwise you'll
the auto zone
fall out of boost. But we've gone over to the planet here. So what it's allowing you to do is sort of have that.
And then they could just like put random asteroid facilities and derelict stations at the end of these places and be like, there's loot in here, yay. Or like you go in and you find a salvage crew that went in there and died, and you get their data pad talking about how they contracted a virus. Or like put something interesting at the end of it all. Inside sauce. Yeah, quantum boosting from the atmosphere is, I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason. That's why I believe that they can expand the size of planets now. They showed it. They were not subtle about it either. Maybe they were doing this just because they wanted to show the base at the same time. But look at how low these ships are. Like they're entering quantum boost underneath the clouds. Like they're definitely still in atmosphere at this point, you know? So is this representative of how quantum boost could work? Don't know. But it would make sense if they did this and then that allowed them to expand atmospheric levels so that it's not necessarily a time sink to slow boat through atmosphere. Going to be somewhat similar to Eve's directional scanning. It's definitely going to be not like Elite Dangerous. I think that's what Maverick said earlier. Elite Dangerous is a true space exploration game. If you want to get the crunchiest of crunches out of your scans, I'd play that game. Like, there's no shame in saying that. There's different strengths for different games, and Elite Dangerous is going to be a game where you get to go out into the unknown, fly new planets, or find new planets, find star systems, see amazing views that nobody else has ever seen. Star Citizen simply won't be that kind of a game. Maybe it will be for a very small amount of people, but in general, it's not as grand in scale as Elite Dangerous, and that's okay. All right. It's going to be okay. I think I removed the point I was going to make here. Okay, this was
yesterday.
This was
presentation. If you saw that, this is a science.
This is fun to look at because this is once again just laying out exploration gameplay pretty clearly, and this is more the contracts and mission side. So if you're not into the whole sandbox, go and find something yourself. This is where you can get actual contracts telling you to go find things and then get paid for that. We're already kind of getting these. The whole hunting animal stuff. Not quite exploration, but it's getting pretty close to what I guess you could traditionally say is an explorer kind of thing.
For those who dream of exploring, I'm sure we have a couple here. We had the Academy of Sciences that was brought up yesterday in the social presentation, if you saw that. This is a science guild that will include factions like the Imperial Cartography Center, who will task you with a variety of missions to better understand our universe, such as sending you into a nebula to do deep scans, or finally seeing what's at the bottom of that planetary canyon. We're going to have a new faction called High Point Wilderness Specialists, who will offer missions associated with the various fauna that we're starting to get into the game, from population control missions to harvesting specific resources for research. Now, I don't know if we have some people who'd like to do combat, but our combat guilds were doing something a little different.
Yeah, combat's all exploration. Shut up, man. Okay, last little bit. This is like a really, really small tidbit that was in CitizenCon 2023. It's not a huge statement about exploration, but it does kind of sort of speak towards where they want to go with data and maps and trying to make maps matter in the game. So it's not, again, not a huge point, but just listen to what he says here.
You can rotate it, and you can even cycle the floors that you're on to isolate the visuals of the floor that you're on. So our current objective it's much more interesting if we can actually take this on the go. So let's download it to our data bank.
There we go.
As you'll notice, we now have the representation of the environment in the upper left corner of our visor.
Freaking maps, dude! Yes!
Now, the thing that's really interesting to note at this point is not all environments will have such a convenient kiosk available. You may encounter rundown settlements, or you might come across a cave that no one else has ever set foot on before. What will happen in this instance is your radar will incrementally update your map, and it will incrementally reveal your environment and save that to your data bank. So you kind of reveal it incrementally. So
it happens in increments. Sounds kind of exploration focused though, right?
This map, what we see in the upper left corner of our visor is not really just a map. What it really is actually data. It's our radar. And we can see contacts on our radar as we scan. And it's basically what we have available in stored in our data bank. So because we have the location data saved to our data bank, we can obviously access that via our mobiGlas. So let's go ahead and pull it up in our mobiGlas, because this is going to get really interesting.
Yeah! Maps!
So Bone, I would like you to cycle between the different floors for us, please.
All right, so basically what he's going to show here is like you got a marker data bank up here, and you can set markers in places, and somewhere here you're going to save it. Yeah, like right here.
Maybe that one. Maybe that door looks interesting. Press T. So what we can do is set a marker, and we can customize the details of that marker. Now, what you'll notice as well is as we set markers, there's metadata that is encoded into each of these markers on top of the customized name that we can specify. So we can mark as many markers as we want in this map. And these are all saved to our data bank. And we can eventually share these markers and even sell these markers on the market.
So again, is it going to happen? Who knows at this point? I mean, I think it will. I think it's where they're headed. But my point isn't necessarily that you have to believe what he's saying here. It's more so that if you believe the Inside Star Citizen, I think it's worth at least looking at what they've also said in these segments. And being able to save and transfer data points is just another part of exploration. Having a fog of war, not really exploration, but having a fog of war is just one part of maybe 10 different things we've gone over today, right? It's not about just this one segment. We've gone over resource quality, we've gone over location creation, we've gone over scanning and radar, quantum boosting to move around these locations. All of these are aspects of exploration that I think go a lot further to explain where they're headed with this game than, oh, they put in a sandbox activity and somebody said it's a step towards exploration. That must be all they're doing. It just doesn't make logical sense to me to go about it that way. So I hope that this gave everybody at least somewhat of an overview of maybe other possibilities regarding exploration. You don't have to, again, believe that it's all going to be this way, but it makes a lot more sense to me than a whole bunch of sandworm activities over and over. This is Squadron 42 maps? Yes. Yeah, he's using the Squadron 42 mobiGlas here. But this is in the game now in Star Citizen. Just doesn't have this mobi-glass setup. Maps is still annoying to use, yeah. The UI is still not great. I mean, it's good. It's just the function is annoying still. This build has radiation. Right, that's in locational dangers are part of that. I think when most people think exploration, they think of the Carrack and finding new jump routes and stuff. But they've also described that. That's actually, I probably could have included that here too. We're not quite done just yet. Let's go back to Inside Star Citizen last year. I'm actually really glad you brought that up. I don't know how I forgot about this. Where they said last year, again, that people would be finding transient jump points that take you to different star systems as a part of exploration. But that has just completely disappeared from some people's minds because of this Inside Star Citizen. Man, my computer is just really not wanting to work.
Transient jump points are more ethereal.
First you have to find them, and once you've found them, you don't know where they go.
Okay, so he literally just said first you have to find them, right? Confirmation that they have plans for us to find transient jump points as part of gameplay.
We like to call in the narrative team the Swiss cheese approach to jump points, which are smaller access points to the main tunnel. Those will still be restricted by small, medium, and large. So basically, it opens up opportunities for smaller ships to kind of sneak their way through.
A transient jump point may only be able to use once. It may be a little bit more permanent, but you can never tell how long does it last once you find it.
If people are looking to avoid scrutiny, we'll look for these sort of side routes to get into the jump point to bypass, security or customs or stuff like that.
In 4.0, our first and only jump point.
It's another reminder of another facet of exploration. Transient jump points, back doors into star systems that aren't permanent, that you could be the only person who knows about. Imagine how much money you could sell that location for if it was really useful for some kind of an ongoing conflict in a game or something, like for smuggling even. These are, again, things that maybe you don't want to use, but as an explorer you can find, save that data point, and then send it to somebody else, sell it on the market, just like they said in that other video. And if you want to go really far back, I don't know what the plans are regarding what I'm about to show you guys, but this is something... where would I find? This is something that was kind of theorized as the long distance form of scanning in Star Citizen. Here we go. This is deep. And this is a while, 3 years. It's not that long ago. This is 2021 is a decent amount of time. This was around when they started working on Engineering 2. So if this is something that is still going to happen, we maybe will hear about it in the next couple of years. I don't know if they're still planning on doing this, but this is something that they called long distance probing, and it was meant to be the sort of big time exploration you might do on something like a Carrack. Yeah, Mrs. Tomato is around.
Long distance probing. So let's start us off. What is long distance probing?
Well, long distance probing is basically a system that we want to introduce where players have a ship somewhere in space and they can send out like probes and place them anywhere in the same system. And those probes will ping and reveal basically objects that are of interest there, or anything that might be there. And those objects could be like mining places, derelict stations, ships, anything that we could imagine that you could find there and we could spawn. And so you find something, then what you have to do there is triangulate. So you have to bring in the probes into position. So you
Exodus. Why are you getting me shot in Turkey, dude? The gun's not as big here, so it doesn't. Ow! It's out! No, that's not. That's 4 shots. You can't do that.
Well,
They only asked for 1.
we
Well, we're not in America.
well, I
Thanks, Exodus. Appreciate you.
What you have to do there is triangulate. So you have to bring in the probes into position. So you get the more precise signal on that. And once the signal strength is enough, you can either decide to generate a quantum beacon that you can basically jump to. You could store that information and sell it to other players. Or what we aim to have there is an analysis gameplay where you basically have a signature, a unique signature of what you found there, and then you compare it on your ship. So basically the drones, the probe sends back the signature, and you sit on your PC on the ship, and you compare the signature with everything that you either bought or you collected yourself in the library. And then you get an idea, okay, this might be in Gladius, this could be in a mining field. And then you can still decide to, okay, I jump there and I look at it, or the risk is too high, I don't jump there. So that's the rough rundown of it.
I think what's
So
important.
that is your exploration while you're still quantum traveling. And then you would quantum travel to that area and you would ping and do the quantum boosting that we saw them do during the Chris Roberts and Richard Tyra segment. So it's once again reinforcement that this is all just part of gameplay. There's not one single thing they're going to do that suddenly makes exploration exist. Don't just hear one statement about this kind of stuff and think that that's it for this plan, because this is a big part of the game, and they're not just going to leave it to be some like point of interest, quick mission combat scenario every single time you go out. Here's a little bonus. That's all the functionality I wanted to go over. Here's a little bonus just looking at one of the cool exploration-focused ships in the game that they'll probably have to prove why it's valuable as an exploration-focused ship. But one of my favorites, a reminder of the Prometheus, the Odyssey.
This is the first MISC ship in about 5 years. In my mind, it'll be pushing into the further expanses of the universe, going as far as you can go, and seeing what's out there.
The type of player this ship should appeal to is those players who just like traditionally non-combat experiences. The Odyssey...
No,
is sort of
John. Everything in this game is combat. What are you talking about? I can't believe he'd say something like
The player
that.
this ship should appeal to is those players who just like traditionally non-combat experiences. The Odyssey is sort of designed for a more generic role.
Bro, look how big this ship is. Like, that docking collar is tiny right there. Or I guess that's just an airlock. Small.
In terms of they want to go off into the wild blue yonder and just explore. Being MISC, obviously they work closely with Gian and incorporate tech. So
Now, I am willing to hear you out that they would just say this kind of stuff while trying to sell a ship and then not do that for exploration gameplay. But they do have some obligation to meet the needs of these ships.
that primarily on the art side gave a lot of flexibility, but on the design side allowed us to justify some of the more interesting features of the ship.
In terms of the ship from front to back, there's a lot more of that cool levitation tech. Got that classic sort of wide cockpit that we see on MISC ships like the Freelancer. Underneath, we've got like a prospector type bubble where we can house 2 crew. One person does the tractor beaming, one person does the mining. We've got 2 unmanned turrets for a little bit of self-defense. There's one at the back under the underneath too.
And then the pilot has a...
You'll never get away from a Star Citizen ship concept image without finding some combat somewhere.
a variety of missiles to use.
On the interior, we've split it over 3 levels in total. Top deck is mainly some engineering space and refinery.
So you can mine quantanium and refine it for the ship itself. So that essentially gives you the ability to just generate your own quantum and hydrogen fuel.
Obviously, Star Citizen is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're introducing more systems. Fuel is going to become a major issue, right? And so this is perfect for that kind of scenario. The middle deck
We'll
is
see. Fuel is not a big issue right now.
probably the most dominant of the 3.
You have a bridge at the front of the ship, and it's quite a nice bridge on the Odyssey because you have this huge bank of stations for all the crew to sit there all in one place.
Just walking
Any
through the
accidents
white
that
box.
happen along the way.
Oh, this is the concept mesh, not even white box.
We have this one room which is kind of really in there just as like the rule of cool. You can just sort of sit there and just see space, as you're zooming along.
The natural competitor to the Odyssey is the carrot.
In my mind, it's a carrot killer.
Oh, God, this. Okay. It's actually kind of ironic. This statement right here caused just about as much uproar as the exploration statement in this latest ISC that spawned this whole video. This statement that this was a carrot killer. Oh, God.
The natural competitor to the Odyssey is the carrot.
In my mind, it's a carrot killer. What you can do with it is pretty impressive. It's kind of the multi-tool of the spaceship world.
It just gives you almost ultimate flexibility on how you want to play. The Misk Odyssey is the ultimate exploration ship.
The Misk Odyssey is the first.
All right. So there we go. Extra point. Zretil, how long have you been hanging out in the stream? Because we went over what you're talking about there. Their plans to generate thousands of locations to explore. They nearly tripled every ship's quantum fuel tank with 4.0, so no one that gets reverted fuel will be a big issue. I'm wondering if they did that just because the mechanics aren't in yet and they're going to lower it again later. Always thought that carrot killer was pretty much tongue-in-cheek and not meant to be 100% serious. Whatever it was meant for, it certainly created a tidal wave. Not hard to do that in our community, though. Does anyone know if slash commands still work in the game? I don't think so. I haven't gotten them working in a while. Guess they'll make the character more combat-oriented with time, since Kenville and the Odyssey more exploration-based. I think the Odyssey is more industrial-focused purely. And the Carrack is a bit more general purpose, kind of, maybe? Yeah. There's your look at exploration. I don't think we needed to go over it for this long. This went on for a very long time. Appreciate if you sat here and listened to the whole dang rant, but my whole point of this was just to kind of... There are things to be annoyed with in Star Citizen's development, but a random statement about something that has received a lot of detailed statements about in the past already, and that is not actually a definitive statement about that gameplay. I think we need to be a little more investigative about that stuff. So hopefully this opened up some information for folks and you got something out of it. Maybe you enjoyed it. Either way, thank you for watching. It did set fire within the community. Set a thought. Sorry, that was a Halo quote. Just steal how Eve does it and add your own spin? I mean, hell yeah. Space exploration is done well in certain ways, and I'm glad that they're sticking with a way that makes some sense. that wasn't the backlash from his comment that made him leave. Do people believe that? That'd be really... He's like, oh man, I've ruined my life now. I better leave the company for saying that. Hey, Unloading Whale in the chat. How you doing, dude? All right, what else has happened before? I want to... Oh yeah, it was funny. One of the comments I saw regarding this whole exploration thing was somebody said that they removed exploration from the release view of the roadmap or something. And I was scrolling through here. And what was it that I saw? I don't know what it was that I saw that made me... Oh, it was this. Academy of the Sciences is out here, and it literally has the Explorer role in there. I know it's just a picture on a release view, but like... There's so many ways to validate that exploration is more than what they said than there are to validate that exploration is what was said in the ISC. And that annoys me. Not really, biomes mean nothing to players. It's all about what you get out of it, because that's what pushes player engagement. Biomes. Just here for the toes. All right, let me double check and see if any devs have said anything interesting on this recently, and then I want to take a look at that Expanse trailer. I have been waiting to watch this. Oh, you're responding to the Traversal, okay. Let's see. Here we go. I have been waiting to watch the trailer for this Expanse game because I wanted to see it live with all of you. Very excited to see what it's about. Looking for questions for Star Citizen Live. Ooh. What is Star Citizen Live about? Flight experience? Oh, it's Richard Towler. Oh, I'm totally asking questions about hover and control surfaces. Post only one question per comment. Drop your questions to the team below. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm totally asking a question this week. Heck yeah. Sign in. It's so rare that we get a chance to ask Richard Towler a question. Need to authenticate. Authentication code. Don't you guys love authenticating for RSI's services every month? And no, that's not because the every month option is selected. It just does it. Probably cookies. Okay. Reply. Let's see. I'm gonna ask. Will hovering in an atmosphere with non-VTOL engines lead to thrusters overheating? And how will this be communicated to the players? It's a pretty simple one. Lead to thrusters overheating over time. And how will this be communicated to players? This is like one of the more important things I want to know about anything flight model related. So I'm going to show you guys where this question comes from, why I'm asking it. Invictus week live. on the MFD. I'm hoping that they tell us something like the cockpit shakes. You can hear your thrusters straining. Maybe a small alert flashes on your heads-up display. There's plenty of stuff they can do. I really want to know what it is they think is appropriate, though. Do they think that it's more appropriate to just say, no, the ship won't overheat because we don't want players to have to deal with that? Or are they willing to have that happen, but with good messaging to the player? That is, I can't think of a more important part of this flight model. No, I'm just obsessed with it. Search this and see what comes up. Here we go. They said it will overheat, and if you keep hovering, it'll take damage. So it won't necessarily take you down. Just taking damage, that makes sense. But you can still hover through that. So here's where this comes from. This is the first time I can ever remember hearing about control surfaces, and it comes from Richard Towler. This is his explanation 3 years ago. Name of this song is called Above the Clouds by Ambiance.
About frustrations. One of mine is sitting and waiting patiently for multi-crew gameplay. So. It is. Yeah. All things in their time. Let's see. Regarding flight physics on planets, things like VTOL mode sort of lose meaning when you can just hover upside down or nose pointing at the ground. Why does it make flying easy, especially for things like the Prospector? While it does make flying easy, especially for things like the Prospector, it does break immersion. Are there any plans to force ships to stay close to horizontal at slow speeds? This would also affect ground combat and make it more necessary, as you wouldn't just be able to point straight down at targets.
Isn't it crazy how this is the same question people ask right now? People will be like, how are they going to stop these nose down people in Pyro killing us at these outposts? And it would be cool if there was some way to just bring these clips up, but they never get out there. It's kind of wild. I remember if you went on the Star Citizen subreddit and something was revealed to the community, almost everyone knew it because it was so small. But now it's like, and I use the subreddit, it's just like a benchmark of kind of a large group of Star Citizen fans. Spectrum scares me. And now it's like you can see the same exact information being told to people on that subreddit, and the same threads will pop up asking the same questions, and it's like they can never solve this problem. But anyways, here's what he had to say about
just that one is yes. So it's probably worth explaining. So at the moment we have aero surfaces on these ships, but it doesn't fly like a plane. So they're still driven by the thrusters, but we do change them based on the planet they're on. So they do lose some power in atmosphere, but the thrusters to generate the performance in space have to be set in strengths. To generate the accelerations that we require in space. And then when you fly in atmosphere, you lose some efficiency, but we still need the strength of the thrusters to be able to push the ship through the air. And actually pushing aero surfaces through the air takes a lot of strength to be able to do that. So we are limited in terms of, to get the maneuverability in atmosphere currently, we still need quite strong, we still need quite strong thrusters, which means you can hover quite easily. But that's not always going to be the case. So in the future, we are going to move towards control surfaces. And this is going to allow us to move the movement of the ship from thrusters to aerodynamics. So it's going to be the aerodynamics driving the maneuverability of the ship in atmosphere. And then the thrusters are just going to help a little bit. They're going to help just move the ship and allow the thruster layouts to kind of do their work. But it's not going to be the primary source. So if you're flying a Gladius, for example, and you go really slow, it's just not going to have the power to kind of keep it up. And that's where the VTOL ship's going to come in, where they can transform and fly in VTOL and hover, and that's where they'll have the advantage. But we need to add control surfaces first and work out how we do all the controls with that as well, because it's quite a complex problem to solve.
So my question really stems from, like, we hear you, we hear that's what you want to do. How hard is that going to be implemented? And how will players know about it? That's why I want to ask that. Here's John Crew sort of following up on that just to further explain.
Without going like, full flight simulator, for example.
Right. Didn't we do some version of this before with adding the
old hover mode?
Oh, you're talking about back here? This is literally John Crew. They're behind each other. This is our view, right? You can see the pink vest. That's Jared's vest right here. He's right off screen on this side. That's why it looks like he's watching a video.
Right. To an extent, yes. But that sort of tried to solve the problem in a different way, and some people liked it. A lot of people didn't like it, and it was the right idea with not quite the right implementation. Another thing we can look at when all the stuff Rich talked about is heat. We don't really use heat at the moment because the way heat works in our game is not how we want it to work long term, and this is something with a resource system that is being entirely redone. But for ships that, like a Gladius, as well as needing that control surface to keep up in the air, like if you're not going fast, those thrusters can start overheating as an extra penalty, because in reality, you could just upend your Gladius like that and balance it on its main thrusters. But because they're powerful enough to do that, so they should be powerful enough to do that, but they're going to be working so hard that heat is going to build up, and we can cause intentional problems doing it that way to stop. I've seen people landing their Scorpiuses on the wings that way, and that sort of stuff will start being a lot more
Scorpius
rare, like a Gunstar in Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was funny that you could see him in the background of this. Like, that must be weird too, because I'm pretty sure he can also see his screen pretty low down there.
This person would like to know when we are getting better lights for the exterior of our ships.
Okay.
The mole.
Anyways, that was the explanation of why I'm asking this question. So I'm going to ask it. Yay! And if anybody would like to chime in and get it in front of their eyes so that they answer it, I am totally going to abuse this platform and post the link to it in chat. Upvote it if you'd like. I want to hear that question answered. Let's see what some of the other top questions are, though, because this should be a pretty good episode. This is one of those Star Citizen lives that I've been saying they haven't been as exciting this year. This should be an exciting one. Anybody who's related to flight experience or the flight model or flight balancing, this is going to this will be an important one. We might hear about master modes during this. Wow, y'all voted fast. Okay, am I allowed to do that? Is that brigading? Did I not do that? I take it back. I feel guilty now. Don't vote it up that much, sorry. But yeah, I think we might actually hear about master mode stuff during this. I can't even scroll up. Come on, there we go. What is the intended purpose for heavy fighters? What happened with the new quantum travel experience from what we saw at CitizenCon 2953? Oh, guys, quote me on this. Clip this. We're still working on that for Squadron 42. It's taken a lot of the efforts there, but once it is polished there, we will work that into Star Citizen. I'm pretty sure Aaron Roberts said that. He literally said that. I think it was Quantum Boost he was talking about. That is still getting worked for Squadron. Would the AI ever start following the same turn rate, speed, or power as players? Are turret projectile velocities buffs up for consideration? How are older heavy fighters supposed to function in Star Citizen's universe? When engineering comes online, how difficult will it be for capitals to actually leave or enter atmosphere? These are actually a really diverse set of questions. Will exploration and or science vehicles get additional resistance to environmental factors or better stability and weather? Somebody was asking about this with the whole hovering control surfaces thing. They were saying, It's going to be a problem for mining ships or salvage ships in atmosphere when they can't hover for long. But if you look, most of them have VTOL engines. They've been thinking about that. Did you talk about the Expanse yet? Not yet. Not quite yet. We'll get to that in a little bit here. How will exploration ships be differentiated from scouting ships? Current gameplay leans more towards what? Leans more towards scouting, which I don't dislike, but I would like to see more meaningful roles for exploration ships like Pisces or the Zeus. Upvote some of these other questions if you guys see some that you like, because they'll definitely get answered. There are about 5 ships that you bring to a fight, and any other would be a liability. What would you say the largest hurdle or roadblock is right now that is preventing the game from having a properly balanced array of ships? That's a good question. Good question, Steve. It's
up there.
It's up there, Steve. All right. That is a good question, though. I think they've got a lot of stuff to do to balance these ships. Want to know about snubs with quantum drives? Pisces? Top 10 questions have 5 questions about insert heavy fighter here. Sucks. Why? I don't know. People want that ship balance, you know? Some of these questions when you were reading just look like people who aren't following common discussions or dev updates. But that's what I was talking about, man. Like, how many questions and worries would be answered by the little things that we find throughout these sort of deep dives? It's just so hard to find them all. It took us an hour to go through all that exploration stuff, and that's partially because I'm very distractible. But it is, it's all over the place, trying to figure out what they've said about this game. And that's why we have so much fun fighting them. Hoping you'd watch it on stream so we get a reaction in the reaction chat. Oh, my friend, yes. Yes, I will. Will I try Dune Awakening? Personally been loving it. We have a Dune Awakening channel in the Discord, and a lot of people in our community are getting together in server to play. I am hoping I can find some free time to try it out at some point this summer, but I'm going to have, I think I'm going to have my plate full with Jump Ship. I'm going to be doing a lot of Jump Ship. And a lot of Star Citizen as always, so it really depends. It depends. I want to diversify a little bit more, at least on the streams, but I don't get much time to play throughout the week, so when I do get to play on Friday, Saturday, I like to try and get in with the org and play some Star Citizen. Thought about making a spreadsheet for features like you do for ships to track the latest info. Oh my god. Bro, that would be... I don't even know if a spreadsheet could handle that. That's so much. Wow, that'd be cool. Sounds like too much work for me, to be honest. Didn't know about the server, you'll check it out. Appreciate the response. Do highly recommend considering you are interested in Satisfactory. Yeah, man, check out the server. If you're not a part of it yet, when you sign on, there should be a little button you could click for Dune Awakening, and that'll give you access to the channel as well as the role that can be pinged when we need to. Kema, thank you for checking out the consolidation of all this info. It's not as easy to do if people don't actually show up to look at it and watch it. Just tuned in, don't even think that hard to find the data. You think they need a better way to pool the info even if CIG starts broadcasting Starchives. They need a better way to pull the info for sure. Toes. Showcasing it led me to a lot of good info when I wanted to dig in, learn something. Oh, Starchives? Yeah, Starchives is great. Very useful, but it doesn't seem to get a lot of the newer stuff. Catch you later, Legion. Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, anything else on the dev tracker to check out? International Bar Citizen chat and PTU. What have I missed in the PTU stuff? Anything interesting going on? Subbing here and on YouTube so I don't have to watch the How to Train Your Dragon live action trailers. Dude, I'm so excited for How to Train Your Dragon. I love the movie, but I watched one of the scenes briefly on YouTube, and it just didn't land like that good old How to Train Your Dragon magic. The scene itself seemed to be choreographed really well, just like the movie, but the acting, I just was not getting the same level of interest in the acting. I'll eventually watch the movie. It is a favorite, but I'm worried about him. I'm worried about where it's headed. Too many live action remakes. I think we can cut those out at this point. I'm gonna start making live action remakes of live action remakes. I'm seeing here that Satisfactory 1.1 just came out. So kind of crazy that we were just, you just mentioned it. You can't watch any of these live action remakes. The originals are good. Just make them higher fidelity and do re-releases like Star Wars does if you want to milk it. Honestly, that would be so cool to see the original Star Wars trilogy exactly the same with just today's cinema quality. Like, imagine seeing the OG Star Wars trilogy at the same quality as we got Andor. That was an involuntary laugh. That was excitement. I was not a huge Star Wars fan until Andor. Now I'm like, yes, more rebellion. Possible new patch release today. PTU. This is just for discussion, the patch notes stuff. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Why don't we check out the Expanse? Okay. Guys, I have been waiting basically since the day that this Expanse trailer came out. I think it's called Osiris, not Orisis. I got sent this video like 6 times before I was even awake that day, because we, unfortunately over here, we're so far ahead that we miss things. So I don't know Owlcat well, but I have heard great things, and it sounds like they have some good writing and narrative chops in their CRPG lineups of the past. So I'm going to do some research on that stuff over the next couple weeks and learn more about this company. But I woke up to these freaking trailers being sent, and everybody's telling me there's an Expanse game that sounds like it's supposed to be in the vein of Mass Effect, which is that's pretty cool. That's like, I do quite enjoy the Expanse, not gonna lie about that. And then Mass Effect is, just like many of you probably, one of my favorite sci-fi games of all time. It, along with Knights of the Old Republic, it brought me into the genre as a real, true, sweat game nerd sweater. So I've been waiting. I haven't watched this trailer yet. I wanted to watch it with you guys for the first time. Today, we're going to check it out. I think I'm gonna give just a straight watch through. I won't pause it. I'll let it play for anybody else who wants to watch it and just kind of give reactions. You stop. Jesus. And then we will go back through and maybe talk about some of the interesting parts that we saw. Hopefully my computer can handle this. Really need to up that RAM, I guess. About 16 gigs would be enough to be on. Pause it. I'll go back through and pause it again afterward. Yeah, I'll probably pause it on the first time. Let's be real. I'll probably pause it as we go through, and then I'll come back and wrap it up afterwards. Oh god, it's so laggy. This stupid computer. All right, let's try 1080p. I think it's gonna be laggy regardless. It said Bossman.
Zafar, pull up NavTech.
Just a sec. Got it.
Taki. We gonna find out about your Kopang right quick, okay?
Just want to do him justice. Stuck his neck out for us. Least we can do is get him out alive.
We've got big enough guns to make justice, all right?
Oh, Michael. To a man with a hammer, just about everything looks like a nail.
I would slap my helmet on so many things if it had a visor like that. I'm loving the aesthetics here. It feels like they're on an MCRN ship, maybe with the tech involved, but the outfits feel very earthy, if not maybe even a little belter. I haven't really read much about this, so I don't know what time period this is, but I'm guessing it would be around the books we already know about. We shall see.
Show. Time to say oh yeah with our hammer.
Missile range in 1 minute.
Brace yourselves. We're going for a spin.
I wonder if ship combat will be a thing. It's kind of got to be a thing, right? Probably some light ship combat.
Zafar, did you get a signal?
After the large haul down this corridor, they shut down this part of the facility. Long time before our arrival.
Fine. Let's deal with those guys first.
Oh, that's an interesting mechanic.
In Yolota. They never look up. Zafar, you were right. They shut down this.
Bro, wait. That sign actually looks kind of like some of the signs in Star
Zafar,
Citizen.
you were right.
Not like that. Obviously, a lot of sci-fi signs look the same, but I definitely found myself being. I had a moment there.
They shut down this. Yolota. I need backup.
Hold on, I'm coming!
Dude, she would be dead. God, they totally would have shot her right here.
Yolota.
She's wide open.
I need backup.
Hold on, I'm coming! I'll cover you.
Bro, these guys have amazing kit compared to what we know of the Expanse. It's going to be interesting to see how they expand the world of the Expanse that we know, from the very low tech to very high tech. This is like a lot of in between those vibes, I feel.
Thanks.
I can't see shit from here.
The bird up high shall be thine eyes. What the hell happened here? Hey, buddy.
This is why you don't chrome so much, guys. Oh my god, the music. That's what gets me. Get through the whole trailer. It's when you start playing that music that I lose it.
Glad you're still breathing.
Okay, okay. I like it. I like it. It looks interesting. Very action oriented, but like it's an announcement trailer, so I'm not surprised by that. The small things I've read about this are that it's got that Mass Effect vibe to it, and I can see that. If not inspired by, definitely. I mean, it seems like it's inspired by it. It looks like a third-person RPG, but especially like this scene right here. Like this scene looks so Mass Effect, maybe even Andromeda to me. I don't know why. Is anybody from the team, did they move over to this studio for this? Or have they been in the studio? Or has it just been a part of the game design? You see a lot of third-person cover mechanics, pretty standard firefight stuff. They didn't show any they didn't show anything that sets it apart yet. So I'll hold off on real big impressions and feelings on like the game overall until we see more of what the gameplay is besides shooty shoot and go with your buddies to space stations. But it looks really cool. The Expanse universe is amazing. One of the hardest parts of building a sci-fi world, in my opinion, is having enough time to get the lore making sense. Because like you end up having different planets and different environments that create such different types of factions that you really gotta be good to be convincing. And another game that I think is doing a good job of that is Exodus. Their lore is wild, and they are doing a lot to try and ground everything that you see or experience in that game within the lore. This should be pretty easy to do that with too, because the Expanse is still relatively unknown on the greater scale of like its whole fiction, but it's pretty popular on its own that people want to get hooked into it. So an Expanse RPG kind of seems like it made sense, and I think a lot of people have been waiting for this. They did that one. Who was it that did? Was it Supermassive? Or there's somebody who is a little more story oriented that made the Expanse game about Drummer last year. What was it called? Oh, it was Telltale. Yeah, so we saw that come out, and like I think everybody's been of the mindset of the Expanse makes a ton of sense for a good crunchy sci-fi game. It's just that there's not enough people interested in sci-fi to make them. And I genuinely think that games like Star Citizen and Starfield even are the reasons we're seeing this. Because so many more people are getting into the sci-fi genre over these last several years. Starfield, I had hoped would be the pinnacle, like the umbrella that would hold that camp up and get a lot more games like this created. And I don't know how closely the state or release of that game might have affected this one, but I like to think that the more high-budget space games come out and the more people that actually enjoy them, the more maybe we'll get cool space games in other IPs like this. So that's why when it comes down to it, any space game is a good space game. I don't like to pick teams. Just seeing this genre continue to grow is like we're eating well compared to last decade. We're doing good. So yeah, the Expanse, pretty cool. I hear that they went over some discussion with Carnage here on his own stream. We have enough time to go over that. I didn't really want to do a deep dive on this, more of a reaction to the trailer. Maybe we can just cut this off and then we'll do that as a deep dive too. Expect more coverage of this game from me. there is a very good chance I'll cover this regularly on the second channel and the first one, depending on how it looks. And so we'll check back in on it when there's another update. You love the fantasy settings, but kind of burn out on them. Dude, everything's fantasy, man. And I like fantasy. I need more floaty bits and pew-pews that are flashy and loud. Yeah, I hear Owlcat has worked on some good games. Let's look them up real quick. Owlcat Games. Headquartered in Cyprus. Interesting. Team of developers united by a love of RPGs. So they made Rogue Trader. I heard a lot about Rogue Trader. 40K, right? A CRPG. I know nothing about Warhammer, but I know people really love it. Has anybody played this game in chat? And/or the game win. That would be cool. But it's not an exploration game. Ooh, you're right, Frenchie. The Expanse books are... the Expanse books and show are basically the backstory to an MMO that the designers wanted to make, so the upgrade to a game in the setting is very welcome, and it's kind of more to come. Okay. It's okay. You played Rogue Trader, but Warhammer struggles to capture you if it's not Space Marine. I see. There's also Pathfinder. So, they've put out 4 games. From the sounds of it, people have been really liking them. Well, sad it's not first person. Got to give the third person folks something to live for. I'm definitely more a first person player, but I know a lot of people do better with third person games. All right, let's hear what they have to say about this.
So, summer showcase.
All right, so I don't know if I'm gonna publish this. It's like reacting to, no, it's not a reaction, it's an interview. So Co-Carnage got to interview some of the devs, and it sounds like this has some official information in it, so I thought maybe
we're gonna go here.
Sorry, my computer's so laggy right now, guys. If we can just get some of what they had to say here.
Thing they put out, and they announced something really, really special today. And that is, Owlcat has announced The Expanse. And this game is looking to be pretty amazing. It looks a little bit new, a little bit something they haven't done before. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk to our friend
Oh, I thought that was me.
Alexander Michelin, the creative director at Owlcat. Hello, Mr. and Alexander. How are you?
Hello, thank you. I'm very excited about the announcement and all the great games we saw at the Future Game Show.
Oh, man. Well, I have to say, I found out about this very recently and obviously had to sign many things because this really came out of nowhere. And to just tell a little story, when I was first asked about this, my contact at Owlcat, who I know is Starrock, he goes, I want you to take a couple guesses at what you think this IP is going to be. And I was like, oh, sure. So I tossed out a few guesses, and he just goes, you know what? You're never going to get it at this rate. You're just never, you're just like, this is so, how did this happen, Alexander? How did Owlcat end up with The Expanse?
Actually, it's kind of similar to all our previous projects. We had a group of fans inside the studio that came out with an internal pitch for the game, and we loved it. We discussed the hell out of it, understood how we can make a great game, what will it mean for the studio, how to make it happen, and started working out on details. And after that, when we were pretty sure that we can make it happen, we are very excited about this. The people who proposed the pitch are very excited about the whole story. We approached Alcon with our idea, and they were excited as well. So we began working.
Oh, that is incredibly cool. So let's take care of some of the early questions about this game that I'm sure are on a lot of people's mind. We'll start with the overarching one. Let's say I'm an Owlcat fan, but I don't have a lot of experience, or maybe I've never even heard of the Expanse. Is this going to be a game for me?
Yes, of course.
Imagine he's like, no, screw off. We don't want you to play this. Which is not a good idea, don't.
First of all, the story happens alongside the main events of the beginning of Expanse books or a show.
Okay.
And you get...
So that's cool. This kind of would show some background of what else was happening in this series while the show's going on.
To experience those events and aftermath of those, see them for yourselves. For example, how Belters react to the destructions of Canterbury. And by such course of action, you are introduced to the story, to the political situations and its implications. And as story progresses, your character are drawn into spiderweb of political intrigue and power play, as every Expanse show should be. And one of your companions is quite an expert in this field, so you get to know what is happening, you get to understand the situations and stakes, what is at play. And of course, last but not least, we will be introducing some features allowing you to understand specific terms or events and to get acquainted with the Expanse universe. We do so in our previous games, so here those will be similar ones.
Awesome. Very cool. So on that note, when you guys kind of came together and decided that we're going to do this game, what made you guys go this entire new direction with it? I mean, you guys are really...
I would be really interested to hear how much the author is involved. What's his name again? James Coney? James something. Is he pretty close in this?
Good now, especially with Rogue Trader, Kingmaker. Like, you guys are really good at making CRPGs. So why not an Expanse CRPG?
Because this is going to be a whole lot more popular. Let's be honest. This is a traditional RPG like this compared to a CRPG is so much more marketable in my opinion. James Corey, that's right. Oh, it's two people? I didn't actually know it was two people. That's wild. How did I not know that? Oh my god. That's really cool. Good for them. They're good writers.
When we envisioned the game, we understood that this story we would like to tell from different, a little bit more cinematographic perspective to put you in the spacesuit and allow you to experience the space itself. Or
that's the whole important thing about space games. When you have a game set in space, but you don't have the risk of space, then it doesn't really feel like a space game. I think Star Citizen hasn't felt super like a space game, besides the fact that I always die from not wearing a helmet. I know, guys, but like, there's a lot of things like oxygen and just things that are really easy to come across in Star Citizen. You don't feel super scared of space yet, but something like Dead Space or what sounds like this game, to some extent Elite Dangerous does it as well. No Man's Sky hits it to some extent. Like, I think that's important for a space game to do.
Or to be up close and personal with the enemies. It's Expanse is all about people. It's more personal on deeper level, and in our opinion, genre is something that should help you tell the best story you can possibly tell. So we shifted a genre to a new one. It was not really an easy transition because we had to reestablish most of the processes. We had to do a lot of prototyping. It was like a full year of prototyping. But after that, we were pretty sure that we understand how to make this game with our own storytelling. And
dude, this is probably such a massive step for this studio. I would be so nervous to go from making CRPGs that in their own right sound like they're pretty good games but maybe weren't blockbusters to making a traditional third-person RPG in the Expanse universe, and then also drawing comparisons to Mass Effect is a lot. I'm not going to say that they shouldn't be doing that, but I think we have seen, I don't know where the budget of this game sits or how it will release, but we've seen AA studios step into that sort of AAA realm, and it plays entirely differently. And sometimes they don't cope with it. I do hope for the best for this. This looks like it's going to be a really cool project, and I'm sure the studio is great. So I'm betting that they'll find their footing and they'll get this out and it'll be a success. But wow, what an expectation to set straight from the announcement for this game. Exciting.
And great Expanse atmosphere.
Very cool. Very cool. So with this game in the trailer, we saw pretty much kind of like each character using different abilities. We saw kind of a main character, looked kind of like some over-the-shoulder, third-person gameplay. What kind of characters are we looking at with this game? Is this going to be the kind of thing where we can play it however we want? Are we going to be picking a class? Are we going to be picking skills? Like, how are you guys approaching this?
So when you create a character, probably I should start a little bit from different side. This time around, we are focusing on play styles. We are aiming to provide our players with more freedom in a way to play the game. In our previous games, we are playing around either established gameplay mechanics like Pathfinder or making an homage to the also quite established role-playing system in Warhammer universe. This time around, we want you to be at the front and center, to feel how the gameplay, and we want you to come up with combinations of weapons and abilities that feel right for you. So all the character creation is about helping you do that. When you're traveling through the Expanse, you will be finding new weapons or new gadgets that provide you with abilities. And as you find them, we hope you will be trying them out and find if they're right fit for you. For example, if this assault rifle, it's shooting faster but dealing less damage or less accurate, will it be feeling right for you? Or you probably want something with bigger punch but that shoots slower, and same goes for different abilities. You can pick up the ones that suit your playstyle, or you can even build a character based mostly on abilities, so you will be playing like a more ability-based game. And all character development is tied up to that, so as you progress, you will be picking up some mechanical parts, bits and pieces. I can't go in much details right now, but
Can't say
those
too much.
mechanical, yeah.
Like they didn't even announce a release date for this, right? I feel like this is still fairly far out. Maybe it's a next year kind of thing. Sounds like a fairly traditional RPG style, though. You're gonna get. It doesn't sound like you're locked to a class. You're just picking activities, or not activities, skills and attributes and stuff like that.
Yeah, but those mechanical bits and pieces will tie up to your character and highlight your play styles. So it's still an old game. There will be some hidden synergies. There will be some things to build up on, but it all help you define your own play style in the game.
Very cool. Very cool. So traditionally, Owlcat has been really good at not only developing the narrative and story for the main character, but also the periphery characters and a lot of the companions that the character plays with. How are you guys approaching companions this time around? Is this going to be like a full equip, full loot, they have everything kind of thing, or more kind of like skill pods, like God of War? How are you guys going about it?
Companions are always a front and center of all our games, but for Expanse, they are our biggest pillars.
Awesome.
We are trying to put them at even bigger spotlight. You are going on a mission with the two companions, but the rest of the team is not left behind. They help you fulfill missions objectives in very many ways. They could be helping from the ship, and yes, you have your own ship, or they will be pursuing some of the mission objectives alongside with you, or helping you go through the mission in a particular way, or probably they form up a second team and go through another route through the mission, and sometimes you will be meeting up to fight a common enemy and then go on different directions. And all this time they're communicating with you, they're providing help with their knowledge, with their skills, and sometimes requiring help from you. So they are always with you. It's very much a huge team effort. And of course, in more peaceful times, you will be meeting them all around the ship, seeing their daily lives, and of course talking to them. And of course there will be romance.
So it's like a traditional RPG experience. It's sounding very action RPG, like straightforward action RPG from everything he's describing.
So you just said
it sounds relatively safe so far.
Something that made me immediately have two questions, and I completely understand that the answer to both these questions is we can't talk about it right now, or just stop asking these types of questions. Okay, first of all, you get a ship. So do you get to customize your ship?
I can't go in too much details about that, but there will be some customization and some interactions.
Do we fight in the ship?
It's not. It's yes, but it will be not a mini game or full-fledged mechanic like a spaceship battles in Rock Trader. It mostly cinematic, but you can expect some surprises in there.
Awesome. Okay, very, very cool.
So this is not a ship fighting game.
So one of the other things that we noticed in this is it seems that there are a lot of different, like we saw him charged with the shield, we saw a drone come out, we saw some kind of stealth stuff, some face things. Now, when the player is picking this for his character, is he going to be able to kind of spec his companions to make his own team, or are they going to be going down kind of their own lines?
When you will be creating a character for your own character, you will be able to choose anything you want and combine those, say, specializations in any way you like. But for the characters that join you, they are already established characters in the world. So they come up with their previous knowledge, with their previous skills, and they join in the team because they're professionals in their field. So the way they perform on the battlefield reflects their ability and professionalism. For example,
You know what gets me most excited for this game is I've been playing this game called Citizen Sleeper, like a cyberpunk dystopian space adventure top-down text-based RPG. And this looks like the third-person RPG version of that. And the thing I loved about Citizen Sleeper was its story and its characters, and the music was really good. The thing I did not like about it was that it wasn't a third or first-person RPG. So if this hits that same vibe as what Citizen Sleeper did, but puts it in this sort of a format, they could be as safe or as experimental as they want with this. I think it's going to be a fun thing to experience regardless, especially with what it sounds like great writing from the company.
Example, Zafar, who is an engineer that was shown in the trailer. Yes, he relies on his engineering aptitude and his signature ability is a turret that provides deadly support in important tactical positions. But the drone you've seen in the trailer, that's just one of the options that is available for him. So you will be able to choose the different options as well. Not only different drones, because there will be some different drones, but also some other abilities that suit Zafar. It's not the whole spectrum of abilities of all characters, but also suit your playstyle.
Hey, Mrs. Tomato just dropped the link to the giveaway in chat, folks. Make sure to get in on that. Anvil Asgard, Nova Tank, a full copy of Star Citizen, and lifetime insurance. All for free. Besides your firstborn, that's part of entering the giveaway. But besides that, it's all for free.
Excellent, excellent. By the way, shout out and thanks to the Owlcat community manager who has been in chat frantically answering questions from people. So just to cover some quick data points that people are wondering, this is a single player adventure. It is a third person action RPG. There is no PvP multiplayer. It is a single player story with companions. You can currently find more information at the bottom there, OsirisReborn.owlcat.games. And so people have been asking about a Kickstarter. It looks like you can pre-order the game already, so I'm guessing you guys aren't going to be kickstarting this one?
Yeah, I'm not going to kickstart the game, but as with our previous games, you are able to pre-order it right now, and some of the packages come with a benefit of being able to play better version.
I wonder who's funding it.
Really enjoying such approach because it gives us a lot of feedback and from our dedicated fans and players. So
excellent, excellent. One thing we haven't talked about:
is there a publisher involved? How's the funding? There's a Osiris Reborn .owlcat.games. Let's see about the game. Digital packs, become a founder. Okay, so it looks like and these are just like special editions basically. Early adopter, name and credits. Miller's pack, nice. Get Miller's casual outfit. Early adopter item, name and credits, Hall of Fame, Discord. Holy crap. And then there's this one that comes with so much stuff. Jeez. An art book, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool Alcon Interactive. Is that the publisher? Their logo didn't pop up in the trailer, did it? Indie film and television production company. They do games also? Yeah, they do the interactive group. So they've published, it looks like they mainly just publish sci-fi IPs. They did a Blade Runner game, 2 Blade Runner games, 3 Blade Runner games, 4 Blade Runner games. And they did the Expanse Telltale game. And I guess now this is their next one. Oh, they also did some work with Annapurna on another Blade Runner game. Is it? Do they have? Oh, they produced the Expanse. That makes sense. They produced the show. I'm guessing they also produced Blade Runner. That. Now that I think of it, I do recognize this logo. I used to see this a lot. Book of Eli. In that Chernobyl Diaries. Yep, Blade Runner 2049 was them too. Okay, that makes sense then. So they're handling the funding for this, I guess.
Too much. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, and I feel like the end of the trailer, for those of us who have seen Expanse, kind of give us a really good anchor point as to where it is in the universe. But could you expand a little bit on when this takes place and kind of what's going on in the world at this time?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. It starts at the beginning of the first book or the first season of the show and goes up through the timeline up until the end of the second book or end of the second first half of the third season of the show.
So right before we leave the solar system?
And the story you're experiencing, it's completely your own story. But of course, you're traveling through the solar systems that are experiencing all the events that's happening in the books or in the show. So you will be seeing the consequences of, say, Holden's decisions and
cool.
Probably dealing with it. And of course, you will be visiting some locations, both new or familiar, like Ganymede, Ceres, or Mars. And you will be meeting familiar characters as well. And speaking about those characters from the show, we can confirm that some of the actors from the show will reprise their iconic roles in our game.
Very cool. Very cool. So I think for me personally, like all of my major questions have been answered. I am now officially completely hyped for this game. It is a third-person action RPG from one of my favorite companies. It seems incredibly deep, lots of customization, big on companions, and an IP that I love.
I don't know. I need to hear more about sort of exploration and stuff outside of combat. So we got characters here. He's talked quite a bit about characters. We got combat. We've seen plenty of combat stuff going on, but what's exploration here? The Expanse Osiris Reborn opens into a narrative-driven world where shifting power dynamics and personal choices will define your experience. You'll visit the marvel that is the gardens of Ganymede, the teeming slums of Ceres, whole bunker complexes veiled in vastness of the asteroid belt, and the imperious political bastions of Mars and Luna. As you travel throughout the solar system, you will be ensnared in a cyclone of power struggles and unresolved conflict. The system looks different from every planet, from every asteroid. Some are falling apart, others just hide it better. Talk to the locals and use your skills to influence the outcomes, sometimes by digging into secrets some may wish remained buried. You may even cross paths with those who have already made their indelible mark on this universe. What you learn and how you act upon it can open new paths and slowly and subtly change your place in the world around you. Very ambiguous. There's not much talk of the mechanics here, mainly just the vibe. But, that's okay. We don't know how far away this game is. Might not be time to show off that kind of stuff yet. Let's see. How do I get a physical copy? No physical copies. So yeah, there's still a lot of details we're going to have to learn about this over time.
So I'm good. However, chat has some great questions that I'd love to go down. And here's an actual excellent first one. Pathfinder and Owlcat in general has been really good about offering lots of different difficulty settings. Are you guys going to be carrying that into this game as well? Is there going to be a story mode, for instance?
There certainly will be some of the difficulty settings. I couldn't go down into details yet because it's still part of the development, but it kind of our approach as a studio to make game
What I'm wondering here is how much non-occupied space is there? Asteroids, derelict space stations, or ships. The surface of Luna, Sirius, and Ganymede. Like, how much of this is going to be off the rails? Do what you will in the game versus how much of this is going to be a more narrative RPG focus. Am I playing more Cyberpunk 2077 or more Deus Ex Mankind Divided?
To allow you to play the game the way you want it, and providing different difficulty settings for our players is part of this idea.
Very cool. Just out of curiosity, is this, and now we know that you guys can handle this all yourself, as we have seen multiple times through your previous products, but does the author of the Expanse have any input on this product? Some people in chat were wondering.
I can't say anything.
No problem.
Now.
Now, a very important question. Can you romance your companions?
Yes, there will be romance.
Excellent. Okay, great. I see the question here. Are actors reprising their roles? Yep, we already did that. Is there a release date planned for Dark Heresy and Expanse? We're going to go away from. They just announced it. We'll not do the release date stuff yet. Here's a great one. How many companions can you have in a squad? And how? And if you can divulge this, is there a large amount more companions, or are you going to be bringing everyone with you that you can, kind of thing?
You will be going into the missions with 2 companions by your side. I cannot say how many companions altogether will be present in the game, but it's more than 2, so you will be able to choose from. I can talk a little bit more about one of the companions because it's very particular.
Yes, if they're going for the Mass Effect format, then 3 makes sense.
When you're starting the game, you are not building just your own character, because this time around you're playing alongside with your twin, and when you're creating a character, you're creating not only yourself but also your twin, and you can think about this character as your first companion that will be joining you. And because it's a separate character, you're not going to choose their skills or abilities because they came from. They grown up alongside with you, but they have their own personality, and it will be part of the story, and you will be starting together. So yeah, it's another companion.
Very cool. Very cool.
Interesting. You guys think it'll be Death of a Spaceman? They'll just get rid of your character and you have to pick the new companion to play as. Mrs. Tomato will hit you up with that secret code in chat for the giveaway.
Here's an interesting question that seems like a small thing, but it can have a very big impact on the main loop and more importantly, what you're doing while you're playing the game. Can your companions die?
I can't say anything about that.
No problem. No problem. I find it kind of funny. That's like, I've seen multiple people ask that question. So it just goes to show you what gamers are thinking about with this stuff. So here's another one. And this is an interesting one because we've seen a lot of devs go different directions with this. When you are dealing with your companions, do they have autonomous feelings towards you? Can you make them angry? Will they leave potentially? Is it, and if you can't talk about this, that's fine, but I'm just wondering how kind of, if you guys are wanting to talk about how far you're going with it.
In all our games, we want companions to be entities with their own minds, their own characters, their own goals, their own stories, and Expanse is no different from that. So yes, they can express their own feelings and they have their own goals. Of course, they're somewhat aligned with what you are doing, otherwise they will not be joining you on this mission, especially in such a grounded and realistic world as an Expanse. But there will be a whole range of emotions when you are talking to them, when you're making certain decisions, when you go through their stories. It's kind of part of how we tell our stories and to make our characters.
Very cool. Very cool. This is a really interesting question, and this is kind of a question more for you, because you've been with Owlcat for a good while now, right? Yeah. So here's something that I'd love to ask you. How has it been going from a team that, you know, Kingmaker came out, had some serious problems. I mean, I vividly remember you guys were like patching each night while I was doing it. Like, it was amazing, but you guys pulled it off. It ended up being great. Wrath the Righteous, even better. Rogue Trader, even better. And now you're at a point where you guys pulled it off. It ended up being great.
I said I did not see the publisher icon, but it was right here, right next to the studio. Oops.
Wrath the Righteous, even better. Rogue Trader, even better. And now you're at a point where you are publishing games. You have a really good looking third person RPG.
It'd be really cool if this was kind of their Baldur's Gate moment. I know that's hyperbolic. That's like once in a decade kind of thing for a company, and Larian was on a good trajectory there, but this also seems like a relatively small studio that's on a good trajectory to make some groundbreaking games that maybe aren't the big budget ones that you would expect from major publishers, but make some ripples in the industry. I hope. I can only hope.
In development, and you're developing a CRPG. What's it been like going from kind of the scrappy startup to all of a sudden you guys are like kind of becoming pretty serious?
It's a hell of a journey. It's very encouraging because we still have that scrappy startup feeling inside us because we are burning with passion about how to make games, how to tell interesting stories. But nevertheless, we are building up the processes that allow us to make bigger games or to make games with less amount of bugs on release, focusing on polishing on the less interesting but more necessary parts of game development. And when we are bringing people, new people to the team, we're always looking for the passion to make games, to tell a story, and to be responsible for the part of the game you are making. It's how the studio is built. So growing up wasn't really very difficult because it comprises of all the people who just want to make the best game ever. And I can't talk about the business side of things, but it's also taken care of, and we are making the games we would like to make.
Is Alcon showed up with that wallet? Don't worry, we're gonna make the game.
Man, great answer. Love the passion there. Love the passion. Going back to the game a little bit, chat had a really good question. Is this the kind of game where I am going to be able to be distinctly like good or evil? Or is it the kind of thing where
that's a good one. Good question.
It's more of just me as my character?
Of course, there will be a lot of role-playing options, but this time around, you can expect it to be a little more curated than in our previous games to allow us to better fit overall storytelling of this universe.
So it's kind of RPG in the same way that Cyberpunk was? Like you're still playing through somebody else's general story and ideals, kind of making the small decisions here and there?
So answer is there are still plenty of options from starting from being really good Samaritan up to being very practical, pragmatical, and gritty. but not as a huge specter as in some of our previous games.
Maybe that's not being fair to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk does give you quite a few ways to play, at least. Maybe not move through narratively as much as I would have liked, but I'll give them credit there. Dan, thank you for the Prime sub, by the way, on Twitch.
Very cool. Is this a game that you feel is more linear, where you want players to hit the story beats kind of quickly and efficiently? Or is this going to be more semi-open world or just open world?
It's semi-open world is a little bit vague term because it covers a lot of different games. Yeah. So I would say semi-open world, and I will be feeling pretty safe about it.
Cool.
But I can tell that.
Yeah, it's custom characters. You'll be making your own character. All talk, no action? No, they're showing plenty of action here. I think more than I even would like to see in this game. Not that there's too much action, rather just like the concentration of action and firefights compared to other types of gameplay in this trailer feels like the opposite of all talk, no action.
That you will be experiencing the game kind of in the same way as our previous ones. There are a huge major beats that leads to huge undertakings, missions, or everything. But at the same time, there are a lot of places to visit, and there are side stories, there are companion stories, there are locations like, for example...
No, they're not cutscenes. They show gameplay towards the end, and the only stuff they show is shooting.
A series which is more like a hub with a lot of interactive elements, characters to discuss and talk to, and probably see what's going on in there. And you're choosing in which direction you want to go. Eventually, you will be going through the story mission, but after that, you will be seeing a lot of options to continue. So let's say semi-open world.
Awesome. I love it. So as we kind of get towards the end here, another kind of more blanket question, and I'm not going to ask how long is the game, because we have no idea. So here's what I want to ask you. Conceptually, are you guys shooting for a more Expedition 33 50-ish hour experience, or a more traditional Owlcat 100+ hour mega extravaganza?
Jeez.
You can expect, because it's a different genre and a different story, you can expect the game be a little bit shorter. So from the options that you said, it probably closer to the Expedition 33. But I would want to highlight that there are still a lot of options. There are still a lot of choices and consequences. It's in no way a linear adventure or experience. We still would like to tell the story in our Owlcat way, where you're choosing where to go, what decisions to make, and see consequences of that decision, be it good consequences or bad consequences or weird consequences. And you're working with that and making a story of your own in this universe.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Alexander, I could talk to you for another 2 hours about this, I'm sure. But we're getting close to the end of our time here. Before we go, I wanted to ask you, is there anything you would like to say as one of the first voices of the Expanse from Owlcat? Is there anything you'd like to tell the community, or is there anything you'd like to highlight that we may have not gone over?
A lot of things. So
don't mess with the wall, with the agua.
Probably would highlight that there will be a lot of political intrigues, machinations, and
I don't want
that you
politics in my game.
No, get it out of here.
Expect from the Expanse universe when you immerse into it. Expanse is all about humans being humans despite settling the whole solar system, and we want to emphasize that and allow you to experience that for yourself, seeing best and worst cases of humanity in action. And speaking about the Expanse, we saw in Protomolecule in the trailer, and that means that Protogen is nearby, and I can say that Protogen will be part of your part of adversaries you will be dealing with, and
adversaries or friends. Wouldn't that be a nice twist?
That brings a whole set of their projects that Protogen worked on, especially one that is very familiar from the second book and second season, Project Caliban. At certain point in the game, you will be facing a human protomolecule hybrid, and that will be a highlight. Another thing that I wanted to highlight, that another big focus of our game is space that is very dangerous and unwelcoming, and
space is crazy.
We want to convey these feelings to our players, so you will be able to get into your spacesuit, feel the magnetic boots click when you move across the hull of the say spaceship.
I'm gonna play this with a game controller, no doubt. I bet it's gonna be nice with the haptic feedback.
Space station in zero-G environment, and sometimes you will be even have a shootout in zero-G environments with all the trappings, with all the things that can happen in the space, and where you can go on and not only on the floor but also on the sides, and as in the trailer you should be looking up as well.
Was that a Gamers Never Look Up reference, by the way? Oh man, I got Alexander, thank you so much for being here. Guys, this has been Alexander Michelin. He is the creative director at Owlcat Games. Been there for a good while. If you would like more information on their new third-person, single-player, semi-open world RPG, you can find it at reddit.com/r/theexpanserpg. You can also find it on Twitter at the Expanse RPG. And of course, if you want their main website, you can see it all right down there in the bottom right. OsirisReborn.
Going on.
Owlcat.games. If there is one company that I think could pay this, thank you, Ben Starr, it is Owlcat.
Is there an audiobook playing? What's going on?
So, Alexander, I think I speak for all of us when I just say how much we appreciate your passion. This looks amazing.
Your nose to your hands.
I'm sorry, just one second. We gotta let Ben finish.
Every clap. There it is. The joy of applause.
Okay, thanks, Ben Starr. But anyway, this has been great. Alexander, thank you so much for your time. Please give our best to the team. We cannot wait to hear more about this project. And thank you all for watching. We will see you all next time. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
I certainly look forward to seeing more about where this is going and what this game is going to be about.
Man!
I think a straightforward third-person RPG set in the Expanse universe sounds like a great proposition. And I hope that I can't wait to see more info about this. I'll leave it at that. It looks like it's going to be very interesting. I'm wondering what's going to be in there that does kind of separate this from another typical RPG. Not saying that there needs to be something, but that it value. I think playing around with the gravity and stuff could make this really fun as a shooter. But I'm also looking more in terms of the exploration aspects, because the Expanse is a really interesting universe, and there's a lot of potential, I think, for exploration. So keep an eye on this one for sure. I'll make sure to leave check-ins about this on Space Tomato 2 as it comes up, and maybe as we get closer to launch, we'll even cover it on the main channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this little look into it, though. That, I think, is about everything that I wanted to cover for today. We can hit up some questions, though, if you guys wanted to ask anything else about what's been going on in SC lately. Probably text-to-speech. Yeah, I want to turn on text-to-speech so you guys can submit weird, dumb things. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. Hey, that's us. Was that Tyrion Lannister? Is that Peter Dinklage? Tell CIG to release the Perseus on Alien Week, please. Yeah, I'll let them know. We'll get that figured out for sure. We'll make sure that happens. Uh-oh, did my camera freeze? Yo, I think my camera froze. I'm pretty sure I'm not sitting like that anymore. My computer is so laggy, guys. Not working. Oh, there we go. We're back. Have I faced off against the worm? No, I haven't gotten to. I haven't even run through Stormbreaker. I don't have a computer to play on right now. I'm limited to my streaming PC. Doing a one PC setup for the moment. But maybe I think I'm gonna wait until live to run all the way through it. Pick it up with some GII folks. What I'm hoping to do is some jump ship tomorrow. Maybe do jump ship for like an hour and then hop into Star Citizen for a couple. But that's right, I don't think I can play Star Citizen on this computer. And I actually don't know why. This computer should be able to run the game. Somebody had mentioned us getting like a sponsorship with one of those companies that builds PCs, and I think I want to just do that at this point. Like, I'd never want to touch another computer with the case off again. I can only assume that all of these PC problems come from me at this stage. And I'm fine with admitting that. I wish I could hire somebody that did all the PC building for me so I never had to touch them. But I can't even buy the computer parts yet, so working our way up to that. The freaking rig, yeah. Happen to have videos regarding your setup and what applications you use to stream, like how you do things? I don't actually. No. Just some of the specs are on a website that you can like you can see !kit will show you what it is, but even that's inaccurate now because some of the stuff broke. Still running with your exploration BS narrative? Hell yeah, dude. Running with it, jogging with it, hitting that marathon with it. Getting my steps in on Strava, baby. You recommend Jetline Systems. They specialize in flight sim rigs. Well, I'm just looking for a computer. You don't need to get all fancy on it. Flight sim rigs are crazy too. I've seen some of these. Some of these things cost more than my car. Which all the power to them. You can't fly in spaceships, so you might as well turn your game room into one. Whoa. Hold up. Goslaw. Goslaw gifted out memberships on YouTube. Let me hear it. Can we hear a thank you to the, like, seriously, at the end of the stream, too? Let me get a picture of that. You're going on toes, gang. I promise. It's coming back. We just need to get a whiteboard out. Thank you, my friend. I know YouTube subs. It's all right. YouTube will make their comeback. But I also need to get AAK on the list. Clap, clap. Thanks, Northern. So I was going to also go over Wicklow and kind of how they've sort of ruined Wicklow with the whole scripts thing over this last, or in 4.2, but I actually don't have enough of that information summarized to make a good segment out of that. Like, I think what I'm hearing is that basically scripts aren't really going to be of much reward. I'm not sure where that information is even shared though. That patch notes? If I just search for this, does it bring up Star Citizen? Yeah, it does. They just sell the PCs for flights and not the whole thing. Okay. Then I will keep it in mind. Get line systems. They walked back the scripts thing. Didn't I mention earlier that CIG backtracked on Wicklow? Today? No. I don't know really what's going on with Wicklow. They reverted the change for the PTU. So basically you can still turn in scripts to get rewards instead of just the new stuff. I think they're getting a little bit carried away with that whole push people to the new stuff thing. Yeah, this was last week. So I was on... Oh no, this is May 29th. Be looking for this one. Mission still reward script. Okay, cool. Glad they went back on that. That was a weird thing to do. June 2nd. This would have been early last week. You'd like them to take out the raffle part of Wick. Not a fan of the grind, then having to leave it to fate. Yeah, I don't like that either. That's unnecessary. We don't need to RNG something after you've already gone through the work of gathering the resources. They should just tell you what you're going to get, give you the list to go get it, and then go get it. You imagine if that's how crafting worked? They're like, okay, we need 10 tons of steel and 2 tons of ice, and bring it back to your base, hit the crafting button, and be surprised. No. No, thank you. I'd rather not be surprised, thanks. How the CZ works. That makes a little more sense since it's a loot box. But Wicklow is straight up this dude who's telling you to bring him something. And then he's like, huh! I've got a whole group of things here to give you. Let me try one of those instead. It'd be nice if maybe there was an option to do a random sort of thing. And then also you had the option of buying specific things from him. Getting him to craft specific things because you brought him the goods. The toes. Oh, there's also a Prowler coming out. I don't know what to say about that because I don't know anything about it, but it sounds like it's a cargo-focused Prowler, which is strange to hear, but maybe they can find somewhere for it to fit. Play, watch, read. Still a pretty low level. Okay, they're updating this then. That's good. I wonder if any of my videos still on here. No, I don't think it is. I'll have to do a new video to get back in here. I wonder how they decide which videos they pick to put up here. Good day, Sexy Potatoes Rule. Good to see you. CZ is okay. You'd rather just know what you're getting exactly. And at least with the CZ, it kind of seems appropriate to have a bit of RNG. You don't like RNG stuff. The worm drops for loot in the RNG makes sense. Well, yeah, the worm's resources. That's what you like to call them. I think it's a little dehumanizing, but. So the Prowler variant looks like the ship from, the original Prowler looks like the ship from Final Fantasy Spirit Within. That's what I always thought of when I saw the Prowler. Gotta try and find this. I used to. Whoa. Okay, I used to love this movie, man. This is like one of my favorite. One of my favorite animated films when I was a kid. Dude, my poor computer. It can't do anything. No, this is right. I'm just trying to find the scene with the ship. Here we go. I think this gives us a look at the ship. See, look at that. You only get like a split second to look at it, but is that not the Prowler right there? And it's a drop ship too. I swear somebody saw this, and this is where the Prowler came from for Star Citizen. So just imagine instead of people, these are just Atlas suits dropping out the bottom of the Prowler. Bro, this movie's so cool. I freaking missed this thing. This was a sick movie. I'm sad that it did so poorly. What's the name of that ship in Final Fantasy? Probably pretty easy to find. Final Fantasy Spirits Within drop ship called the Copperhead. Carries 10 people. Maximum speed is 720 kilometers. What, per second? Can't be per second, right? Craft series is used frequently as dropships during the movie for the Deep Eyes Squadron. First, while extracting a key Ross from Old New York. Second, touring the Seventh Spirit from Talon Wasteland. It's a cool looking ship. Definitely got Prowler vibes. It did poorly. Thought it was a great movie. I thought it was great, but it didn't do well commercially. If I was to choose one big ship, would I choose Starlancer Max or Connie Taurus? Starlancer Max. Yeah, it's got the doors. Got the doors right here. It's just like curved instead of flat. Yeah, it's got the wings coming off the sides. Kind of funny because I would fly this, but I don't really like the Prowler. This looks like it would have more space than the Prowler does. Also not the hugest fan of the Prowler's styling. It looks cool. Not quite what I would want from a ship like that. Yeah, this one looks cool. Oh, looks like somebody... Yeah, there's a good shot of it right there. There you go. That's the Prowler. If you haven't seen this movie, by the way, and you're down for an animated movie that's about 20 years old, this is a good one. It's just like an interesting premise, I think. And don't be swayed by the Final Fantasy name. I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. This is wildly outside of what you would normally expect from Final Fantasy. All right, y'all. The tail looks nothing like the Prowler. Girl, I don't even know. I don't know about that tail, but the body. Your knees creep. Wonder if they're only selling alien ships this weekend. I think they do only sell alien ships at Alien Week. Maybe Drake could sneak in there though somehow. I'm gonna go and wrap things up for the day, guys. Yeah. I think we've gone over everything I wanted to touch on. I'm probably gonna come back with some jump ship tomorrow. I really hope it works out. I will also probably come back with some more information on what we need to do to fix this computer because I don't know how that's gonna go. Yeah, we'll see after tomorrow's stream if we can play the game or not, and like that will kind of define, I guess, streams for the next little while. I'm not super sure that you guys are gonna want to listen to me talk for another couple hours tomorrow. We could just go into some gameplay stuff, but we'll see how it spins out. Uh-oh, did I lose chat? We still live? Okay, yeah, we are. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the hanging out. And being Oh, did I see a pickle? My gosh, I think my niece is pickle. My niece is here. She's gonna shoot me. And then we're gonna go, guys. That'll be our goodbye for today. Haven't gotten to see her in like 8 months, so we're gonna go. She's pointing at my face. Ah! All right. You guys, I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you had a good time. Hope you learned something new at this stream. Got some entertainment out of it. I am going to drop you all. Let's see what's going on, Star Citizen, guys. I'm gonna send you over to Hitbot. Don't know who they are, but looks like they've got a few people watching and they're having a good time, guys. We're hitting up a new chat today, so make sure to drop the toes in there. Let them know where you came from. Give them the good excitement of a solid raid, folks. And thank you again for being here, for making chat so amazing. Honestly, the entertainment, the good times, the conversation, the support wouldn't happen if it weren't for all of you. So treat yourselves well. You're good people. You deserve good things every single day. Freaking bless, give thanks to something, whatever it is you believe in for the day, because it's crazy out there, folks. Thank you all for being here. Eat something you love today. Dance with somebody you love. Give somebody a hug. Treat yourselves like you deserve. Catch you in the next one. Bye.